Welcome to Susquehanna's Build Your Bright Future virtual open house. We're coming to you live today from the Communications Studio in Afflebaum Hall. Thank you for spending some time with us this afternoon. Today you'll hear from faculty, staff, and current students about the ample opportunities that await you here at Susquehanna. You also have the chance to submit your questions during all of the presentations. Although we won't be able to answer all of your questions live, we will have staff and students answering them in the chat. To kick things off for us today, we have our Vice President for Enrollment, DJ Menifee. DJ, thank you for joining us today.
Greetings from the Riverheart community at Susquehanna University. Thank you for investing your time and learning more about our community as you continue navigating your college search journey. Though we wish we could engage all of you today in person, we are grateful for technology that allows us to connect with you in your own environment via cell phone, tablet, or computer. With so much happening in the world around us, creating tension, the global health pandemic, racial tension, the upcoming election, the reasons to consider an engaging residential liberal arts education are amplified. Today, I'd like to address this through talking about the liberal arts education, the value of a residential experience, our community's commitment to becoming more diverse and inclusive, and what happens when you invest in your education at Susquehanna. The challenges of our time call for a liberal arts education, an experience that fosters the cultivation of intercultural competence, a needed skill set in our time when it can be challenging to engage across difference, an experience to develop compassionate and empathetic leaders who understand the importance of building others up and providing equitable opportunity to impact our interdependent world, an experience that challenges you, the learner, to develop as a student, a leader, and human being as you challenge your peers to do the same, an experience that provides real-world opportunity to critically think and solve problems, an experience that challenges everyone in the community to challenge the status quo, to consider what has shaped our thoughts, worldviews, and systems, and to stand for change needed in our communities, an experience where we support you and you feel supported by others. There are many benefits to residing on campus, and today I'll highlight 4 of them. A higher capacity for learning and persisting. The SERP Freshman Survey, which has been conducted over 5 decades, confirms that those that reside on campus are more likely to retain and graduate. Number 2, engaging faculty as advisors, mentors, and educators. We have begun pairing deposited students with early advisors, making an early connection and getting your academic experience at Susquehanna started off in a great way. Number 3, connection and sense of community. Getting a chance to know your peers across campus through class, clubs, intramural sports, or attending live events. The National Survey of Student Engagement confirms that first-year students living on campus report higher levels of engagement with peers. And 4, cross-cultural experiences in both academic and social settings, working on a class project and attending a live event at tracks. Early and often, opportunities to engage across difference in a variety of settings. Our community is focused on the long-term journey, one that seeks to continue evolving as a diverse and inclusive environment, from making sure that all applicants have a sense of our mission to educate and support students from diverse backgrounds, to having an ad hoc committee, the Everyone Counts Task Force, put together 37 recommendations in which we are actively working as a campus community, the relationship between public safety and our students, opportunities for our students to engage in formal and informal dialogue with various topics across difference, consideration of more robust cross-cultural selections of food, and the consideration of anti-racist training for faculty and staff, just to name a few. Many departments across campus have also taken the Intercultural Development Inventory, an assessment that supports ongoing development of intercultural competence building, and are working individually in teams to develop across the competence continuum. Investing in yourself by making a decision to join the Riverheart community will be worth it. Small class sizes with passionate faculty make a unique and personalized educational experience. Participate in interdependent or collaborative research with faculty. Participate in an international internship remotely or in London. Engage in our world-renowned GO program, which requires 100% of our students to study away from campus. Get hands-on experience serving our local community via work with SUSL, and get selected for fellowship programs at Princeton for their Summer Institute on Public Policy and International Affairs, or for a Fulbright Summer Institute in England. 96% of our graduates are placed within 6 months of graduation, whether that be a new job with organizations like Deloitte and Vanguard, or transitioning into graduate or professional school at schools with institutions like the University of Notre Dame and Villanova University. We have been recognized by a study done by Georgetown University for the return on the degree, the top 10% in career-long earnings. We've also been recognized by sources like Washington Monthly for our social mobility, which recognizes us for enrolling and graduating students from low-income backgrounds, how our students are challenged and encouraged to give back to their communities, and in research, how our students engage in cutting-edge research preparing for the next generation of scientists. As you have a chance to engage members of our Susquehanna community, we are hopeful that you can sense the strong foundation in liberal arts education, the engaging and fun residential experience for our students, the commitment we have as an institution and community to continue to evolve as a more diverse and inclusive environment, and how we will prepare you to achieve, lead, and serve in your communities and in our interdependent world. Enjoy the experience today. We hope to see you soon.
Thank you very much, DJ, for getting us started. Next, I'm going to welcome in our faculty panelists and have them introduce themselves, starting with Monica Prince. Why don't you get us started?
Hi, it's lovely to see you all. My name is Monica Prince. I teach activist and performance writing and poetry in the Department of English and Creative Writing.
Thanks, Monica. Michaeline.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michaeline Schumann. I have the pleasure of serving as the Assistant Provost for Postgraduate Outcomes and Director of the Career Development Center. I've been at Susquehanna for just over 6 years now, and I also have the pleasure of teaching as an adjunct faculty member in the School of Business and for our Global Opportunities program.
Swarna.
Hi everyone, I'm Swarna Basu. I'm a professor of chemistry here at Susquehanna. I have just started my 16th year of teaching here, and I teach introductory and upper level classes in chemistry, and I also advise a broad range of students in the sciences as well as our undecided students.
All right, and Matt.
Hi, I'm Matt Rosu. I'm Dean of the Sigmund Weiss School of Business. I am also a professor of economics, and I've been at Susquehanna University since 2004.
As those of you who are watching can probably tell, we don't have a faculty representative today from every academic department here on campus. Today's panel is really designed to give you a broad sense of academics at Susquehanna and the support that you'll receive to excel in your classes and achieve great postgraduate successes. Many of you have submitted questions when you registered. We're going to do our best to answer those. We will also be monitoring the comments and chat for any questions that you might have during this panel to answer some of them live. I'm going to get things started with a question for, I'll have Monica start us off here with responding to describe the faculty advisor and student relationship. What goes on there? How do students get advised?
Absolutely. So the faculty advisor relationship is essentially the same, but of course all advisors have different styles. So the way that I advise my students is beyond just helping you choose your classes every semester. Students meet with their advisor at least once a semester during registration to choose what are you going to take next semester. Faculty advisors are also present to just help students navigate all kinds of academic experiences. So if you're thinking about internships, if you're thinking about studying abroad, if you're worried about a particular class that you want to take but you're not quite sure if you're ready for it, faculty advisors are there to have that conversation pretty much at any point during the semester. My advisees meet with me up to 3 times a semester just to talk about how are your classes going? Are you feeling good with this professor? Are you thinking about changing your major? All kinds of conversations like that. Most of my students are within my department, but a couple of my students are outside of it. And so there's a lot of opportunity to talk about what it means to thrive at Susquehanna, but also what are you going to do when you graduate? So faculty advisors help navigate the entire 4 years that you're here and also help you to start thinking about what you'll do when you leave.
Yeah, I'd like to add to that, so we establish a relationship with our students before they get to campus, and we meet with them when they first arrive. And then we have the formal registration meetings to discuss classes for subsequent semesters. But we also, throughout the 4 years, guide them, direct them when it comes to picking summer internships, connecting them with our alumni, and also providing guidance for applications for graduate schools, jobs, not just directing them to the Office of Career Development on campus, but also making those connections with our former students and also other colleagues on campus who may be a resource.
All right, thank you both there. And I'm just going to toss this one up for whoever might want to tackle it first. But what kind of academic support, so outside of that advising, is provided to students either through tutoring, writing center, or our Center for Academic Success? Who'd like to take that first? Michaeline, I'll pick
Sure,
on
I'm
you
happy
to
to
start
start.
off there on some support services.
Certainly, and as an adjunct faculty member who teaches every semester, I encourage my students to take advantage of our Center for Academic Success, as well as rely on the professional staff there as a layer of support for students who are struggling academically. So every student is eligible for services through the Center for Academic Success, and in fact, the majority of our students do use the tutoring services, the writing center, particularly when they're having some challenges with one particular class. When I work with first and second year students, and sometimes upper class students, I also direct them to the center for help with skill building, like time management, oral presentation skills, and things of that sort. Lastly, from a faculty perspective, we use our relationship with the staff in the center to alert them to students that we have concerns about. For example, if a student misses class, I will reach out and send them an email, but I will also let the staff in the center know through an alert system so that they can follow up and also track to see if the student is missing other classes and to learn what's going on, perhaps outside of the classroom, that the student might need some additional support.
Thanks, Michaeline. Other thoughts?
I know that one of the benefits of the CAS is essentially that they do offer other types of support in addition to the experiences of tutoring and disability services. The disability services department there is wonderful. They help students get accommodations if they need longer time on a test, if they need an attendance modification, if they really just need extra time to turn in assignments. The CAS is wonderful for that. Additionally, it also is a little bit of a cheerleading space. So when a student is doing really well, there's other forms of alerts, positive alerts, that we're allowed to send through their office to be like, this student hasn't missed any classes. They're doing so well. We're so grateful for how they've improved. What I also appreciate about the student support services on campus is that there's also space for students to take tests if they need more time. One of the benefits of the CAS is the conversation they have with students who have test anxiety. Like, I do not do well taking tests, so I'm really grateful for this type of environment for the students. So if they really have bad test anxiety, they know the material, but once they're in front of the actual test, they just kind of freeze. The CAS can help students navigate that experience and help them so that they don't keep that particular fear through the rest of their time at Susquehanna.
All right, so we've had a few questions coming in here already, and I know a topic that we were all ready to discuss was around postgraduate success. But before we get there, let's talk about internship opportunities and how students are able to find those. Michaeline, why don't you kick us off with that, and then Matt can talk to us a little bit about the special opportunities in the Sigmund Wise School of Business.
Certainly. So one of the things that we're most proud of is the number of opportunities our students pursue all 4 years, including internships, job shadowing, practicum, and things of that nature. It really helps students explore their major, explore possible career paths, and in many cases, particularly students who are completing internships between the junior and senior year, it gives an employer an opportunity to give a test run of a student's capabilities. And many of our students return for senior year already having a job offer in hand. One of the things that we're also excited about this year is with the pandemic and the impact on opportunities or students who lost their opportunities in person, we were able to provide support for employers and students to convert many of those opportunities to a virtual format. So we now have students that worked over the summer in an internship virtually who have actually been able to continue that work part-time into the fall semester, earning some additional income for themselves. And finally, we partnered with an organization that works on what are known as micro internships. These are internships that employers and organizations have just a small project that they want a student to work on. And so they apply to post their internships with us. A micro internship could last anywhere from 2 to 8 weeks. And then students can do a quick application online through our database to see if they would be the right candidate for that internship. And those internships are global. So we have students who are completing micro internships right now in Chicago, Los Angeles, and outside of the United States as well.
Michaeline, a question we got on registration forms was around what % of our students complete an internship or perhaps research or some other type of activity, and then do students do more than one sometimes?
Oh, great question. So upon graduation, we know that 98% of our students have completed one or more what we call experiential learning opportunities. That includes internships, research experiences, and practicums. Many of our academic departments have that built right into the curriculum. So students are required to do an internship-like experience either during the academic semester, over a break, and the majority of our students spend at least one summer doing research or an internship somewhere off campus.
Thanks. And actually, this is a good segue that I wanted to turn to you, Swarna, around research. I know you do a lot of research yourself with students here. What kind of research do faculty do with students, and what's the benefit of doing research while you're in college?
Right, so a research experience is not only an opportunity for students to implement the things they're learning in the classroom, but it's also an opportunity for them to do something original. So a faculty-student research project is typically based on an original idea that a faculty member may have or a student may come up with, and the faculty and student work closely together, and the Susquehanna education culminates in a capstone experience for students where they get to present their work both on campus and in some cases off campus at major conferences. So doing independent research, not just on campus, but also through a summer research program that we have here, or students apply off campus for those opportunities, it really gives them that real world experience and prepares them for the next step. Students former students have told me that in a med school interview, talking about their chemistry research was something that really got the admissions committee interested, and they saw that they had a publication, they had 2 conference presentations. So in many ways, our students really benefit from participating in these original projects across disciplines, where they get to contribute to a publication or go present a poster at a conference or give a talk somewhere.
And then Matt, why don't you jump in here with the Sigmund Wise School of Business and many of their opportunities provided to students?
Yeah, absolutely. One thing we're excited about this year is we became the first business school in the world to guarantee you, the student, an internship in a foreign country. So we've had students over the past 12 to 18 months complete internships in London, in Hamburg, Germany, Barcelona, Spain, in Singapore, in New Zealand, anywhere you can imagine. We have students all across the world interning. And it's one thing, a study away experience is an amazing experience. In terms of immersing yourself in a culture, there's really nothing like working with people. You get to know them in really closely. Sometimes you get to know things about them you didn't want to know, right? If you worked a job, you might know that. But in terms of picking up on a culture, it's really an amazing experience for you while you're completing it. And how it looks on your resume afterwards is pretty stunning, because what employers are going to be asking when you are looking for a job is they're going to be trying to judge whether you can work with people from a different culture, whether you can handle a boss who's different than you. Can you handle a work environment that's different, literally foreign? And before you even go into the interview, all of those boxes have been checked. So we're really excited about the opportunities that are available to our students.
All right. Thank you, Matt. This is a good way to enter into one of our more distinct programs, and that's our GO program, which stands for Global Opportunities. Michaeline, would you mind starting us off with an overview of GO, and then anyone can jump in with the benefits that provides to our graduates as they enter out into the world post-Susquehanna?
Certainly, thanks, Phil. One of the details of distinction of a Susquehanna education is our global opportunities requirement. So every student that attends Susquehanna is required to spend some time studying away. And students have a multitude of options, from choosing from a go short, as we call them, which are faculty-led study tours ranging from 2 to 6 weeks long that can take place over winter break or summer break, to our traditional Go Long program, which is a semester abroad, again, anywhere in the world that a student is interested in studying in another culture and spending a full semester, earning a semester worth of credits that will transfer back and lead towards graduation. And then last but not least, we have an option called Go Your Way. So the students who perhaps aren't interested in a full semester or one of the faculty-led study tours can choose their own experience and work with the staff in the Global Opportunities Office to navigate the planning and the preparation for an independent program. And the majority of our students go short, so about 60% will participate in the faculty-led study tours, roughly 25% will take advantage of a full semester away, and then a small group will do the Go Your Way program. One of the things that sets our Study Away program apart is that we have a class that prepares students ahead of time in order to do some goal setting, to think about why the program they selected connects to their academic program and most certainly their postgraduate plans. And then when students return from their semester or short program away, there's a follow-up class called the reflection class that really allows students to dig deeply into their learning and put that into practice both back on campus and in terms of what they want to do next. We hear from employers and graduate schools all of the time that our Study Away experience really has helped students hone and develop the career readiness skills that are in high demand right now in the world of work. And echoing what the dean of our business school said, employers really appreciate the fact that our students can talk at length about their intercultural fluency and their ability to communicate and work in teams with people who aren't just like them. So we find it to be one of the most important markers of success for our postgraduate outcomes.
Yeah,
One thing
I'd like to
I would
add
like
that.
to add on this. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Swarna.
Sorry, thanks, Matt. So I just want to add that as your advisor, we will work closely with you as you plan your Go experience. If you want to go short, we talk about when to register, what the options are, and direct you to the Global Opportunities Office. But if you're thinking of a Go Long, we will work with you to make sure that you can stay on track in your major, take the right classes, and transfer them back. We work with the registrar's office on that. And so this is one of the conversations that you will be having with your advisor as early as your first year. But by your second year, you'll be thinking about, okay, when do I want to go? What do I want to do? And if it's junior fall or junior spring, we will then map out your classes and make sure that you get to take the classes that really interest you when you're abroad for a semester, and also come back and finish everything up and graduate in 4 years.
Yeah, I think what Swarna says is really important, because a lot of universities offer study away programs. But when it is embedded in the curriculum, right, every student has one. Whether it's a Go Short, a Go Long, or a Go Your Own Way, everybody has it. Which I think is really important for you, because I know a number of students, most students coming into college are like, I would love a study away experience. This is an opportunity, you will get one if you come to Susquehanna University.
And I'll add as well onto what Matt just said, that athletes and musicians and those interested in performing arts and just anything, many opportunities that happen on campus, because this is a part of the curriculum, it's ingrained in it, you don't have to make those types of sacrifices. Faculty are very well aware of those. Monica, I'm gonna start with you on this question. And every year when students arrived at campus, one of our more popular majors is Undecided, and that was no different this year with our students who just started a few weeks ago. How are undecided students advised? And then what ultimately happens if someone wants to change their major? How do we work with those students?
Absolutely. So undecided students, I'm a huge proponent of not coming into college with your major decided. I didn't come into college with my major decided, and it was it was helpful because it allowed me to kind of explore a couple of classes that were part of the central curriculum, which is what other schools might call general education or core curriculum. But it also gave me an opportunity to really get excited about the major that I was thinking about. So when we have undecided students, they're still given an advisor. You're not abandoned. You're still given an advisor, and that advisor just kind of walks you through the process of, okay, what are you excited about? What are you thinking about you want to do for the rest of your life or for a time of your life? What makes you anxious and you thinking, I don't want to do that thing? So it's very helpful to have that opportunity to just talk through what you're excited about, what you want to do, what you definitely don't want to do, and giving you a chance to explore different courses throughout our entire university. Because we are a liberal arts college and we focus on interdisciplinary learning, the opportunity to learn across multiple departments early on is a wonderful opportunity to just kind of think about what you want to study for the rest of your time. If after a while, if you come in with a major decided and you're sitting there in your classes and you're thinking, I don't know if I want to keep doing this, or you take one class and it changes your entire outlook of what you want to do for the rest of your life, that is totally fine. You're completely welcome to change your major. Once you walk in, you're not locked into one particular space. I had a student just recently who's an international business major and was talking to a couple of her friends who were in my intro to poetry class, and she said, I think I really want to do creative writing too. And we had a whole conversation. Student isn't even my advisee, but we had a conversation about, okay, what does that major look like? What is required of you? If you're excited about creative writing, what kind of writing do you want to do? What type of writing would you want to be doing after you graduate? Do you want to write creatively? Do you want to be a travel writer? Do you want to mix your international business degree with your writing kind of idea? And we had that conversation and allowed that student to make an informed decision about whether they wanted to drop their major or if they wanted to add another one. And that is perfectly fine. At any point during your career, your advisors, whether they're your actual advisor or just someone in the department you're interested in, will walk you through that process of adding a major, changing a major at any point. We'll make sure, we'll walk you through what will happen. Will you still graduate in 4 years? Most likely. But if you're not, let's talk about what that means. Does that mean maybe not adding a major, but maybe adding a minor instead? Things like that. And so it's completely fine to change your mind. Students change their mind all the time, and we fully support it. But it's just an opportunity for you to think through, like, what are you excited about, and what is not as exciting anymore that makes you want to change your mind.
And I'm sure all of you have worked with undecided or students who have changed their majors and have other stories. So whoever, if anybody else wants to jump in and share some experiences you've had with such students, go ahead.
I'll just note that one thing that I think is really helpful for our undecided students is that they take their first year seminar together with other students who are still navigating that decision as well. So they have a peer group who also is still trying to decide on a major or decide on a major and a minor combination. My staff works very closely with those classes to offer them some assessments and some reflection tools to help them navigate that process. But we also reassure students that around 50% of college students will change their major over the course of the 4 years. And as long as they find their academic home by the end of their sophomore year and they work closely with their advisor, they will still graduate in 4 years. And then lastly, of course, we remind students that major does not define only one career path. If you're a history major, it doesn't mean that you have to work in the field of history for the rest of your life. The benefit of the liberal arts education is that you're going to have a foundation and a wide array of disciplines and use those skills to navigate the real world of work, which we know for this generation of students choosing colleges will involve upwards of 10 to 17 different jobs over the course of their working lives and 4 or 5 career changes in that period as well.
Matt, I'm wondering if you could talk about the diversity of majors within the Sigmund-wide School of Business. So a student might come in and say, oh, I think I want to major in business. And how is it different here? And then what are the opportunities for students to take classes in the School of Business who maybe aren't business majors?
Absolutely. So there are 8 majors within the Sigmund-wide School of Business. So off the top of my head, I'll see if I can, on the spot quiz. We have accounting, business data science, economics, finance, marketing, management, luxury brand marketing and management, and international business. I think I got 8. I think I got all 8. I'm sorry if I didn't. But so there's 8 different majors on a wide scope. Quite different kind of initial career paths, although as Michaeline noted, your major doesn't define your career. Many people switch careers many times. One thing in the business school, the first year seminar class, if you are interested in business, it's Global Business Perspectives. And you're introduced to a lot of the introduction to college type activities, but at the same time, you are introduced to all of the fields of business. So you get some sense of what does an accountant do? What does somebody who does brand management, what would they do? We also have alumni who will, well, they'll usually come to campus. Naturally, for safety reasons, guests are a little bit limited this semester. So we've been actually having a Zoom speaker series where alumni have been Zooming in to talk to our students, and that is open to prospective students. So if you are interested in that, I'd encourage you. We have some really brilliant people who are chiming in. So there are a number of opportunities if you are in the business school to figure out your path. And we have classes open to non-business students as well. We have several minors. In many of the majors that were listed. We also have interdisciplinary minors in arts management. We have a professional sales minor, and we also have a minor in entrepreneurship and innovation. That are actually those are a little bit more interdisciplinary and are open to all students. Or if you just would like to take a class in accounting, marketing, finance, just to get a little bit of a feel of to gain a skill or to learn something different. The classes are not restricted to only business majors.
And Swarna, I wonder if you could chime in a bit about labs. How do labs work here? How do students get help in those labs? How are they arranged essentially? And then some of the benefits. What do they get out of it? You mentioned one already in that interview, but we're hoping there are others.
Most science classes are designed in a lecture lab format. Sometimes the classes are integrated, so it's a workshop style. It's very hands-on. You meet 3 times a week, 2-hour blocks, or 2 times a week, 3-hour blocks, where you do a combination of group activities, lab experiments, and short lectures, and so on. But the lab itself, it's designed to be very hands-on. In the introductory classes, it's mostly just basic skill building and following instructions and just learning how to analyze and present data. And as you work through the curriculum, the analysis gets more complex. You start to learn how to use all sorts of new techniques. We are very well equipped here at Susquehanna in the science departments. So if you're ever visiting campus, feel free to pop into a lab and take a look at what we have to offer. Our students graduate with experience using all kinds of tools, but most importantly, the lab experience enables them to develop skills, not just in running experiments, but also analyzing data and communicating. So communicating their findings in oral presentations and in written reports, so scientific writing, scientific presentation skills. And so through their classes, through the research experience, they get a lot of hands-on learning opportunities.
And Swarna, I want to come back to something you said earlier about that student who was in that medical school interview. What is the benefit of coming to a place like Susquehanna that rooted in the liberal arts, taking the science courses necessary to get into some type of postgraduate health science program? Why would that help someone get to that goal?
Right. So what our students get here is not just a broad liberal arts education, but also they get to work closely with their peers and with their faculty, which in a healthcare field, you have to be able to work in small groups and work with with people. Our students who've gone on to, say, medical school or dental school have majored in anything from chemistry, biology, biochemistry, to now we have biomedical sciences. We've had neuroscience majors go on. So you can major in almost anything and be successful in applying to postgraduate in healthcare fields. But the opportunity to do research with faculty and that hands-on team-based experience that our students get really make our students stand out when they apply. Students applying to med school have often done an on-campus summer internship and an off-campus summer research internship. I had a student who did research with me for 4 years, and she was a biochem major, did a summer internship on campus, then did a summer at Baylor College of Medicine, and then she did a gap year research experience at a malaria lab at Penn State, and now she's at Thomas Jefferson School of Medicine in Philadelphia. So students have gotten a very diverse experience, not just in their choice of major, but also what they've done with their major throughout the 4 years before going on to med school or other programs.
Thanks. Matt touched on our alumni network. So Michaeline, I'd like you to talk about one of our very distinct programs, Breakthrough, and what Breakthrough is, how campus, alumni, students, staff, faculty all get involved to help out our students.
Sure, thanks, Phil. We're really proud of the cornerstone of success connected to our alumni network. So Breakthrough is an umbrella term that covers a series of events and programs both on and off campus to connect our current students with alumni in their fields of interest. In the fall semester, the key programs affiliated with Breakthrough are what we call our career treks, where students can sign up to spend a day away from campus, traditionally in New York City, Washington, D.C., or Philadelphia, and job shadow an alum at their place of work for about half of the day. And that oftentimes also involves a meeting with HR or their talent acquisition team to learn what is most exciting about working in that particular field and what kinds of skills are in high demand right now. It also includes a tour. Frequently the alum and the HR staff will offer a lunch, a tour, some one-on-one time, and just really immerse the students in that experience. I've gone with students to places like the National Institute of Health, the FDA, Google in New York City, and some of the big finance companies as well. And then at the end of the day, we meet with all of the alum in that region for a more informal networking event where we do some speed networking, and students get to hear from alums not particularly in their fields of interest about what it is to live and work in a big city. Of course, this semester we're curtailing travel, so we're doing those events virtually. So for our week in October, later this month, we will be having our Breakthrough New York program, and for 3 nights in a row, students can select from a menu of virtual visits, and they'll have the opportunity to network with our alums through Zoom, much like you're doing with us today. We also have a program affiliated with Breakthrough through our Women's Leadership Program. And in the fall semester, that is usually an on-campus panel. This semester it will be virtual. And the theme for this year is Women Saving Lives. So if you do have an interest in something related to life-saving measures, and that could be in a traditional healthcare field, or it could be coming at it from a different industry, or even the business world, please look for information from admissions on that program, which will also take place later this month. In the spring semester, we do a mix of those off-campus career treks, and our largest Breakthrough program is our Breakthrough Conference, which generally brings about 100 to 150 of our alums back to campus for 2 days of a conference-style program. So students can attend panels that are related to specific areas of industry. So we always have a healthcare science panel. We have a panel, or actually a number of panels, for our accounting students. But then we also have general panels with themes like That Was My Major, where we have alums who are doing something that seems very disconnected to what their major was here, because we want to reinforce that major doesn't define career here at Susquehanna. And part of the Spring Breakthrough event is also a career expo where students can interface with alums who are coming back to represent their organizations for either graduate school programs or internships or jobs in a wide array of industries. And that's a very popular program with all 4 class years. All of our Breakthrough programming is offered at no cost, and we encourage students to participate all 4 years. Frequently, our juniors and seniors are very engaged with that programming because they're getting closer to that post-grad opportunity. But we also have a large number of first and second years that participate because they're still exploring different career paths, and they want to learn as much as they can from those alums. And then we're starting to track very closely the numbers of students that those programs lead to jobs and opportunities, and the numbers grow year after year.
Thanks, Michaeline. I'm interested in about, Monica, maybe you can talk some about students who want to go to graduate school. So after they're all done here and want to network with faculty or other universities of places they want to go into, how do faculty like yourself advise students and help them identify graduate programs that might be a good fit for them?
Oh, of course. So I actually I'm in charge of our capstone experience for the creative writing major. So all of my students, they take senior seminar their senior year, whether in the fall or the spring, and we have long conversations about like all of the different things they can do when they graduate. Do they want to go to graduate school? Do they want to go get a job immediately? Are they just thinking about a gap year? Things like that. And so when we talk about graduate school, that's usually the first thing I talk about because deadlines start to crop up around now. We talk about like what types of opportunities there are for graduates, right? So if you want to go to grad school, typically a creative writing major would go get a master's in fine arts, but they don't have to, right? So we talk a lot about how there are multiple types of graduate degrees. We talk about master's degrees, PhD programs, certificates, all types of different ways to continue to your education in a way that is not like an undergraduate education. When we have those conversations, I encourage students to research graduate schools, to call those schools, to talk to the students, talk to the faculty at those places, to talk about like what that experience would be like, what they would get out of that experience. And the benefit too is that I force the students to go to the Career Development Center so that they can have a conversation with our fabulous career counselors about what do we want to do next. Especially when they're talking about graduate school, we talk about personal statements, how to apply, are there tests that they need to take, like the MCATs, the GRE, the GMAT tests. If they're thinking about law school, how do you prep to study for the LSATs, things like that. And so with those kinds of conversations, we have a lot of students who go to graduate school from our department because they want an opportunity to really focus in the genre that they were working on while they were at Susquehanna. But additionally, a lot of them are just really interested in learning how to teach at the college level. And going to go get a graduate degree allows them that experience in addition to training themselves in the college environment as a graduate student. And so having those conversations, we have them the whole time in the department, from the very first time they enter into our writing and thinking courses all the way through graduation into their capstone courses. But it's important that we have those conversations more in depth in senior seminar because it allows students to talk about it with their peers. What are we thinking about? How resourceful is this degree? Things like that. And so we utilize the Career Development Center a lot to work with Breakthrough, to connect them to alums. And we have a lot of alums come back every year for our department specifically. This semester with our pandemic planning, we've actually started a new program where we call them First Wednesdays. So the first Wednesday of every month, we have an alum come back virtually and talk to students about their experience at Susquehanna, how it prepared them for what they're doing now. They talk about publishing, they talk about getting an agent, they talk about living a career as a writer. And additionally, we always have an alum or two come back in the fall or the spring to give a reading for students. So they get to ask them about their time at Susquehanna, but we also get to see how fabulous they are because now that they've graduated and they have these books published. And it's a great opportunity to make sure that students realize that they are part of a legacy of Susquehanna students, and they're the ones who are doing great things in the alumni world started doing great things while they were here.
Excellent, thank you. I'd like to stay here on this postgraduate success and ask each of you to share a story of a student that you and your department have worked with pretty closely on whatever their postgraduate plan, whether or not that changed over 4 years while they're here. And Matt, if you could get us started, that would be great.
I mean, there's so many that I could actually choose from in terms of, we've had a number of students. There have been students that I've worked with as a faculty member who have evolved their majors over time. One that I've worked with closely, Monica mentioned creative writing and international business, picked up economics from a creative writing with creative writing, so a double major, and ended up kind of combining the two in a career. Others have pivoted to go to grad schools, and sometimes it's just within the majors. But the close interaction that you have with faculty members while you're here, plus it was alluded to in the last by both Monica and Michaeline, Our alumni network is absolutely amazing, and they love helping Susquehannans. They love helping current students. And one thing I would recommend to you, whether you choose Susquehanna, which of course you should, or if you go somewhere else, try to take advantage of the opportunities that are presented. I know what we offer here, and if you take advantage of these opportunities, you're going to go into your junior and senior year, and you'll know 20, 30, 40 alumni well enough, like where they won't, if you do need to ask advice on a job, it won't be the first time you're talking to them. But there's a number of cases where you could point to where individuals have kind of through the mentoring found their paths.
Who wants to go next?
Yeah, I can
I'm
talk.
happy.
Go ahead.
So I can talk about a student who came here as a biology major, and she switched to biochemistry. And then at the end of her first year, I heard her having this conversation with my colleague next door, and she sounded very negative about her summer plans, and saying, "Oh, I don't know what I'm going to do this summer. I don't know, what I should be doing." And I happened to just happened to be passing by, and I said, "Hey, I asked her where she was from, and when she told me, I said, I have a friend who's a researcher at a big university near your hometown. Maybe would you be interested in maybe shadowing somebody in a lab up there?" She said, "Yeah." So I reached out to my friend and managed to get her initially it was going to be an unpaid internship. She was just going to go shadow and learn some lab skills, turn into a paid internship. And she developed a real strong interest in doing research, but she wanted to go to med school. But when the time came to apply to med school and that she didn't get in the first time, she went and joined AmeriCorps. And after a stint with AmeriCorps, she decided to try the healthcare route again. And so she started working as a patient advocate at a hospital. And now this year, and it's now about 5 years since she graduated, she is starting PA school. So she's going to be a physician's assistant. And so her trajectory of doing some research to applying to med school to working for AmeriCorps, teaching, and now she's off to PA school. So that's one of our success stories, a student who comes in set on one thing, changed her major, yeah, but she was set on going to med school, but in the end, she's doing something very closely related, but after having taken a few different turns.
Michaeline.
I'd like to tell two stories, if I may, because I think they illustrate some of the unique experiences students have here and how it impacts their outcomes. So 3 years ago, I was working with a senior who was a marketing major and a dual sport athlete here at Susquehanna. She played both soccer and lacrosse, and I had known her since her sophomore year. She was able to do a full semester of study away, even as a dual sport athlete, because she really wanted to spend a semester away. And she actually was even able to play soccer abroad, and her soccer coach here thought that that was a great opportunity for her. She was from Long Island, but spending a semester away made her realize that she could launch further away from home than she originally thought she would. So she attended one of the career fairs that we take students to in the fall semester. We actually take students to the largest career fair in Pennsylvania, and it hosts around 500 students every fall. And at that career fair, she met with Yelp and was so excited about her meeting with Yelp, and they interviewed her afterwards, and they offered her a job in Phoenix, Arizona. So I remember coaching her senior year to really think through if she was willing to leave the Northeast and move to Arizona, and she decided, sure, why not? I don't have anything that's going to hold me back. I should try something new like I did when I studied abroad. So she launched her career with Yelp 3 years ago in Phoenix, Arizona, and she stayed in very close touch with campus and has had a wonderful experience, but then realized that she did want to get closer to home because she was getting ready to start her grad program. She negotiated a transfer with Yelp to bring her back to New York City, and now she's in a master's program right now. A second example that I'd like to share is with a student that came to Susquehanna because he knew he wanted to study away and study Spanish, but he also was a musician and wanted to use music as a part of his education, although he recognized he probably wouldn't pursue a career with his music background. When he came here as a major and a minor, he had some good advice from his faculty in the Spanish department to pick up a secondary education degree as well that would give him some additional mobility in terms of the world of work. And when he spent his semester away in Spain as an undergrad, he came back and immediately knew he wanted to go abroad again. So he applied for the very prestigious Fulbright program to serve as an English teaching assistant for a year after graduation. He was a finalist, but was not selected for the program right upon graduation, so he used that secondary education program to launch as a teacher, knowing that he was going to reapply. He reapplied 2 years ago and was selected, and actually started with the Fulbright program in Costa Rica this past year. Was unfortunately evacuated when the coronavirus hit, but was able to really start to live out his dream of working abroad again, and was selected for the program in Costa Rica because of his music background as well. And so when he was teaching English and serving as an English advisor in a university in Costa Rica, he was also involved in their music program and teaching music lessons to students who were pursuing not just English, but a music career as well.
My example is, so I have the least amount of tenure in this panel right now. I've only been here, this is my 4th year. So actually, I haven't actually seen a lot of my students from like first year all the way through graduation. This will be the first class of students that I'm seeing all 4 years. But I do know that from my very first year here, I've been teaching senior seminar the entire time I've been here. And watching my seniors leave Susquehanna and then go do incredible things is quite inspiring. I'm thinking of 2 students in particular. One student who was finishing our program and just didn't know if she even wanted to write ever again. And she was really struggling with that experience of not knowing if this is what she wanted to keep doing. And she managed to put forth all of her efforts as a creative writing major. And she landed a job in France, actually, working as a food blogger for the woman who runs a cooking school out of Julia Child's house, who's actually like a friend of mine, which was like wild and amazing. And so she did that for about a year, and then she came back to the US so she could complete her graduate degree, and now she's going to go get her MFA in poetry in North Carolina. And then I have another student who, when they graduated, she was really excited about going to grad school, and she got into 2 programs, but she didn't get enough funding, and she made the like scary decision to just not go to grad school. And she said, you know what, I'm going to wait. I want to wait until I get full funding because I deserve full funding. I am a fabulous writer. I can do this. So she actually made the decision to stay in the area and work because she knew she didn't want to stay home. She's from New York, and so she didn't want to go back to home because she felt like she wasn't going to be able to write. And so she made the decision to stay in the Selinsgrove, Susquehanna Valley area and work so that she had time to write. And as a result of that, she actually started as an acquisitions editor for the Santa Fe Writers Project, and now she's working as one of the top editors of that particular company, publishing books. She runs around the country with this particular press, making sure that authors are getting the kind of attention that they deserve. And even though she's still writing, and even though she's also still like thinking about graduate school, the opportunity to just focus and to stay in one space was a huge decision for her. And it actually expanded all of her work. She got her first publication last winter, and she has been presenting at conferences all over the country. So just the fact that like she knew, one thing that she knew is that she didn't want to go back to New York, and that changed her entire life and gave her an incredible opportunity to start working as a publisher and an editor.
Thank you all. Those are wonderful stories. We've had a few questions coming in from student athletes, and about 25 to 30% of our students are student athletes, and they're just wondering how faculty work with students who are athletes. How balance their schedules, time management, those types of things. Swarna, would you like to start us off there on working with those students?
Sure. We enjoy working with all kinds of students here, and our athletes are among our most successful students sometimes. They are very, as an athlete, you have to be very disciplined and have excellent time management skills. And we understand that you have to sometimes travel for games, which means you have to leave early. You may have meets, which might take you away from campus for a whole day. And all we expect our athletes to do is let us know in advance that they're going to be missing class or missing lab. and we work with them to make arrangements so that if they're missing class, they could perhaps take their tests remotely. Coaches have often administered tests when they're on the road. We've also had students switch lab sections for the week so that they can get the work done. But we work very closely with all of our students, and with the athletes. We understand that you have dedicated time for practice, and for every day from 4 to 6:30, there are no academic commitments. There are no classes. Classes end at 4:05 every day, and from until 6:30. That's practice time. Your faculty are not going to schedule anything academic during that time. Evening classes, if you have any, they start at 7. So we work our class schedules around that practice time, and we work closely with every student depending on what's happening in their season. And we always we attend your games. We're always there to cheer you on and wish you all the very best in your sport.
Something I appreciate about our student athletes, especially in the creative writing department, there's like an assumption that there aren't a lot of athletes in our department, but there are. And they are spectacular. And what I appreciate about working with them is that they understand that everything that they do in their education feeds into them being a writer. So, and that includes their athletic training. And so there are some of the kinds of students who are actually more dedicated than our students who don't play sports, because they know that it's not just reading, it's not just writing, it's not just the practice of writing, it's also eating properly, it's exercise, it's sleeping well, it's drinking enough water. All those things feed into being their best version of themselves and being incredible writers. And so I'm really grateful for our student athletes, because they're almost more dedicated than our students who don't play sports, and they're actually also more likely to graduate.
Yeah, I appreciate when we have student athletes also working with the coaches. Coaches in some ways are incredible allies to faculty members in terms of encouraging, if a student does need help. And as much as we'd love to say your 4 years at Susquehanna will be crystal smooth, right? That's not realistic ever, right? There are bumps in the road that happen to everybody, and that's normal. And we will work with coaches, we will work with whoever to try to make sure when you reach that bump in the road, which is inevitable wherever you go, to work through it, to figure out what the next step is. And so it's a really great working relationship with our athletic department.
Thank you all, and I'll say that one of our student panelists coming up in a few moments is a rugby player, so we can ask him that question as well. We're getting near the time that the five of us have together, so I want to ask a great question that came in before we started, and that is, I'll have each of you answer this, is why do you like working at Susquehanna University? Michaeline, I'm going to pick on you to go first. You go for it.
Yeah, I'm very happy to start. I was very excited when I had the opportunity to start working at Susquehanna, and I was drawn here for a number of reasons. I think the first reason was that our faculty get it. They understand that we are preparing students for the world of work. Even those students that go to graduate school as their first destination eventually have to get a job. And that's reflected in our curriculum. Our curriculum is very intentionally preparing students for the reality of today's world of work. And I enjoy the partnerships and the collaborations I have with faculty and coaches who know that everything we do is helping students to develop those career readiness competencies and to lead to a successful outcome. I was also really drawn to what we call the Susquehanna family, that we are a community that cares very deeply for one another and one another's work. And so we support one another. You heard Swarna talk about supporting students at their competitions. I have staff that are here every weekend to attend musical events or theater events or athletic events, and we really enjoy seeing our students succeed. And I would say that extends to the collaborative and really positive working relationships that we have with other staff and faculty on campus. We are all in it together to help our students be successful, and the greatest reflection of that is how I see people time and time again really supporting students with everything that they're doing, from their classroom success to what they're pursuing outside of the classroom.
I know that I love working here because these are the best students on the planet, and I will say that every time, forever. Susquehanna students are the best students on the planet. They are brilliant, they are intentional, they're excitable, they want to change the world. And those are the only students I ever want to work with. I went to a liberal arts college, and I get it in that sense that liberal arts is the best way to be educated, and I believe that wholeheartedly. So the opportunity to work for a liberal arts college that really values its students, that puts its students first, that believes that these are the students who are going to absolutely change the world and make it an incredible place. Like, best students in the world wouldn't want to work anywhere else.
Yeah, I'm also a product of small schools, both undergrad and even grad school. I went to a small liberal arts college that happened to have a PhD program, and I really enjoyed that, working closely with my advisor, working closely with other students, with faculty. I really enjoyed that connection, those connections that I built with my peers and my faculty, and I wanted to teach in a place like that. I didn't want to be in a place where I just show up to a lecture hall, talk to 200 people, and then go hide in my office and write grants and have, postdocs run my lab. I wanted to be in the lab with students. I wanted to be in a class with 6 students or 10 students, and just get to know everybody and work with them both inside and outside the classroom and the lab. And that's why I chose to come to a place like Susquehanna.
Echoing what the other three said, I love being at a place where I think everybody has a goal of improving our students' lives. As an example that happened over the summer, in April, of course, in the beginning of COVID destroying everything, students who didn't have internships already, it was really tough to get an internship this summer if you did not have one lined up by April. And some people actually had their internships pulled back. So I ended up calling Michaeline in early April, and we started talking about, could we figure out how to set up our students with remote international internships? So they're actually completing an internship for a firm in a foreign country. And we talked about it. We're like, okay, we have a generous alumni support behind this. We're able to offer this for free, and students could get a couple of credits. And the whole conversation is, what can we do to help our students? And we ended up having 44 students who completed this opportunity over the summer. They literally worked for a foreign firm in the summer when other opportunities were taken away. And that's one example of the kind of collaboration that happens, but it happens every day all across campus. It's a great place to be.
All right, well, this is going to conclude our academic panel. I'd like to thank Monica, Michaeline, Swarna, and Matt all for joining us this afternoon. And as we transition to our student panel, we have a short virtual tour of campus that is produced by one of our current students, Alec Wishuda. So stay with us, and we'll be back shortly with our student panel.
I chose Susquehanna University because as a first-generation college student, the whole college search process was a really stressful time for me. But when I visited Susquehanna for the Admitted Students Day in February, I felt at home. I could see myself sitting on that bench studying, and I was like, this is my new home.
I chose to go to Susquehanna University because I was actually drastically undeclared, and I had no idea what I wanted my major to be or what my career path was going to end up being, and it really scared me. But whenever I visited Susquehanna, the faculty and advisors always told me that it's okay that you're undeclared. It's actually a great opportunity to explore and kind of see what you're interested in. So when I felt that Susquehanna treats undeclared students as your own major, they gave me guided directions on how I was going to end up declaring one. They gave me a timeline, and it was never a scary process for me, and I can confidently say to all the undeclared students that you will be completely fine, you will figure it out, and it will all fall into place.
I chose Susquehanna University because of a combination of everything that I wanted in a college. I wanted a really strong education department. As a future elementary school teacher, it was important that I got into the classroom for observations early, and Susquehanna has you in the first 7 weeks of your first year at Susquehanna, which is awesome. Also, I get to continue the 2 sports that I loved in high school. I get to play soccer and swim at Susquehanna at a really competitive level.
I chose Susquehanna University because the connections with the professors was really important to me. Even before I committed to coming to Susquehanna, I had professors who were working really hard to connect me with students that they currently had that they thought would help benefit me, and I just thought that that was really meaningful and showed me what it would be like when I was actually a student there as well.
I chose Susquehanna University because the moment I stepped out of the car on campus to do my tour of Susquehanna, it felt like home. It has a real community feeling whenever you walk across campus. With that, for me personally, the AACSB accreditation of the business school really stood out for me because that's an important part of my specific education and me professionally moving forward.
I chose Susquehanna University because from the moment I stepped on campus, it felt like home. Everybody was so nice, and I fell in love with the creative writing department from the very beginning. I really couldn't imagine myself going anywhere else.
The reason I chose Susquehanna University was because of its strong communications department. I'm able to play basketball there, and when I visited, it just felt like home.
I chose to come to Susquehanna because I was fortunate enough to participate in one of the summer programs on campus, the Choral Institute. I did that twice before I actually came to SU, and it was just a really nice opportunity to meet some of the faculty and work with them. I also got to meet and work with some of the students as well, and I just got to see how nice of a community there is on campus, and that's part of what I love so much about it now that I'm actually a student here.
So my mom is actually a Susquehanna alumni, and I've been there a couple times growing up as a kid, and it was my dream school because I wanted to be just like my mom. But I wasn't actually sure if I was going to get to go. And then my senior year of high school, when I was applying to a bunch of schools, Susquehanna made it on my list, and I visited a couple times and realized I loved it, and I just loved the atmosphere there, and I could really see myself having that as a home for 4 years. So I ended up choosing Susquehanna, and I've loved my decision every day since.
And Jess and Sarah had said in the chat multiple times, we'll talk about it now.
Hi, welcome to Susquehanna. My name's Tyler and I'm a junior.
And my name's Abby and I'm a senior. We can't wait to share our campus with you.
Let's go!
This is the Blauwise Library. It's a great place to come study for an exam, work on a group project, or write a paper.
I've definitely spent a lot of time in here.
One of my favorite places are the quiet study pods.
It's also the home to Scholarly Grounds, which is a nice place to grab a smoothie before you hit the books.
I love their smoothies. For those of you that are interested in athletics, this is our Garrett Sports Complex.
The sports complex has our O.W. Houts Gymnasium, which is the home court for our men's and women's basketball teams, as well as women's volleyball.
We also have our indoor swimming pool, where our swimming and diving teams meet.
A fun fact about that is it actually has underwater speakers.
I love those, they're so cool. We also have our field house.
That is where your Susquehanna journey both begins and ends with our convocation and graduation ceremonies. Our field house has a 1/8 of a mile track, 4 basketball courts, and batting cages. And if you're looking for a place to work out, don't worry. We have that too at our Jacobs Fitness Center. It's a 3-level fitness center that offers free weights, machines, cardio equipment, and much more. This is Kurtz Lane, named after one of the university's founders, and passes through the heart of campus.
This is our main academic lane on campus, which makes finding your classes on the first day easy. You can get outside, see some friends, and meet new ones along the way.
This is also where you'll line up for graduation. You'll pass through a path of all your professors.
Let's show them some buildings.
Sure.
This is Fisher Hall, which is home to 2 very important offices on campus. The first office is our Center for Academic Success that houses our math and writing centers, as well as our Office of Disability Services. Professional staff in this office assist students with the transition to college and offer many recommendations on successful study habits. The second office is the Career Development Center, which helps students prepare for professional opportunities throughout your time at Susquehanna and even beyond graduation. Here, students can receive guidance in building a resume, writing a cover letter, or landing that dream job.
This is Applebaum Hall. It houses our communications department as well as the Sigmund Wise School of Business. Our School of Business is AACSB accredited, and it also guarantees an international internship to all its students. Here at SU, we have 3 first-year residence halls: Reed, Passenger, and Smith.
I was a resident assistant in Smith 2 years ago. First-year students typically live in a double-style room, which includes 2 beds, 2 dressers, 2 desks, and 2 chairs. The room also comes with individual heating and cooling units and a shared closet. Also, you're allowed to have up to 2 large appliances per room, for example, a mini fridge and a microwave. There are laundry facilities located in every first-year residence hall.
This is Degenstein Campus Center, which serves as a central hub on campus.
You can grab a bite to eat at the Hawk's Nest, meet some friends in Everett Dining Room, or you can grab a cup of coffee at Starbucks.
Which is a real lifesaver for your early morning classes.
Ain't that the truth? In addition, a variety of offices call the Degenstein Center home. We have WQSU, our on-campus radio station, the Center for Diversity and Inclusion, and the Johnson Center for Civic Engagement. On the main level, you can find the Office of Leadership and Engagement, which overlooks our Greek organizations, TRAX, our on-campus entertainment center, Charlie's Coffee House, and Student Services.
This is Weber Chapel, which hosts many events throughout the semester. Tyler, you were in Christmas Candlelight, right?
Yeah, Candlelight's a service that happens before winter break each year, where we have the choir, chorale, and chamber singers all perform. And you were in air band too last year, right?
Yeah, each Greek organization comes up with a themed dance. The money that was raised goes towards the winning fraternities and sororities philanthropies. Now this is one of my favorite buildings. The Natural Science Center is home to most sciences at SU.
This building, along with the admissions building, are both LEED certified, with lots of large windows for natural lighting. Well, that's all the time we have.
Thanks for coming on a tour with us of our beautiful campus.
We hope to see you here in the fall.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, welcome back. I hope that you enjoyed that tour of campus and it gave you a better sense of what our beautiful campus looks like. We now have a couple of students here with us for the student panelists, and I'm going to have them introduce themselves. And I'm going to go ahead and we're going to have them actually start by sharing their hometown, their year, major and minor, and then internships or extracurricular programs that they might have. I'm going to start with Kevin. Why don't you get us started?
Hi, my name is Kevin Bowser. I am a senior accounting major. I'm from Downingtown, Pennsylvania, and I came to Susquehanna because I thought it was a really fun school.
Hi, I'm Carter Anstein. I'm a senior communications major with a theater minor from York, Pennsylvania, and I'm involved with choir, theater, Greek life, along with being an orientation leader and also a student ambassador through admissions.
All right, and before we get to Malia, we're having some technical difficulties with one of our cameras. So if we're able to get Bailey back, she will jump in and introduce herself. But now I'm going to kick it over to Malia to tell us a little bit about herself.
Hello, my name is Malia Simon. I'm a senior double major environmental studies and public policy with political science and history minors. I am an SU Connects mentor, president of SU Native and Allies, and a presidential fellow 2018-2019. And I'm also a member of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated.
All right, thank you, Kevin, Malia, and Carter. And I want to remind everyone who's watching that once again, I'll use some of the questions that you submitted when you registered, and then we'll be monitoring the chat for any questions that you have as well. I like to get started here with one of my favorite questions, which is for the three of you thinking about your time at Susquehanna, what has been your favorite experience so far? So when you go back home over breaks and you're sharing with friends and family, what is it that you find yourself talking about? And Carter, why don't I start with you? What's been your favorite experience?
So I'd say one of my favorite experiences at Susquehanna so far has been with the university choir that I've been a part of all 4 years. Every spring during spring break we take a choir tour with the whole choir, and we go out and perform at different schools and different churches. So we've done some across central PA. Last year we went to Ohio and Pittsburgh, and we've been all across the Northeast as well performing. So we do that every spring break, and that's probably one of my favorite memories at Susquehanna.
Kevin, how about you?
Yeah, my favorite memory is pretty easy. I play rugby on campus, and last year we played against a team that was ranked number 3 in the nation. We ended up winning, and there was about 100 people on the sidelines just cheering, just having a great time. The president actually came out and watched the game too. So it was just so much fun looking out on the sidelines, just seeing all your friends, seeing a bunch of just students from around campus just coming out and just supporting rugby and just supporting the Susquehanna culture just in total.
Thanks. And Malia, bring us home here. Favorite thing so far that you've experienced at Susquehanna?
My favorite experience at Susquehanna is just being involved in the community and really letting my passions for activism set forth. As I've stated before, I'm president of SUNA, and as SU's First Native Club on campus, we've done a lot of community events and bring awareness about Indigenous people and issues. And we do a lot on campus, so that's my favorite memory, is just sharing my culture, but also a part of my identity and knowing that the SU community supports and wants their students to succeed.
And look at that, we got Bailey back here, so we've overcome our technical difficulties. Bailey, we're gonna have you play some catch up here, and if you could introduce yourself, tell us where you're from, your major, and things that you're involved with here on campus, and then I'll let you take the first question as well. So go ahead.
Sure, thank you. Hi everyone, my name's Bailey Romberger. I'm from Klingerstown, Pennsylvania. I'm a biomedical sciences major with a women's studies minor. I am the president of Alpha Delta Pi here on campus, and I've also done research with Dr. Alyssa Packer to complete my capstone as well.
All right, and the first question that we were tackling, Bailey, is what has been your favorite experience so far here at Susquehanna?
Yeah, so I really enjoy being in Greek life. It has definitely influenced my on-campus experience. It has gotten me so many connections, given me so many friends. I've taken classes, met new professors through Greek life, and it's really just been an expansion here on campus.
All right. Next question for you all, I'd like you all to tackle, is tell me about a strong relationship you've developed with one of your faculty members. So Bailey, maybe I'll start with you, since you mentioned researching with Alyssa Packer. I don't know if that's the one you might want to talk about, but talk about a relationship that you've developed with one of your faculty members. How did it come to be, and what is it that you're doing with them?
Yeah, so I actually it is Dr. Alyssa Packer. I was in her perspectives class, which is the first year class here at Susquehanna. She was my faculty member, and then I ended up being her perspectives peer mentor for her further perspectives classes. So then I ended up just doing my capstone research with her on Vitiafaba plants, and we were actually selected to go to the NCUR, which is the National Conference for Undergraduate Research in Montana this year. Unfortunately, it was canceled due to COVID, but that's something really important that we were able to do together.
Awesome, thanks. How about you, Carter?
So I'd say just a good relationship that I've had with one of my professors was my faculty advisor, Professor Dave Kashuba. I believe it was my sophomore year. He took me and another student to New Jersey to interview someone who was involved in the sports media field, which is what I want to get into. And so we drove to New Jersey, and then on the way back we ended up going to the Cheesecake Factory. So it was nice to just kind of get to know each other better, and being in a smaller campus, kind of having that close relationship with your professors and your advisors is super beneficial.
Great. And as a former history teacher, I know some of you out there might be thinking, oh my gosh, driving in a car to New Jersey with a teacher and then eating at a Cheesecake Factory. I think that's something very special about Susquehanna, is that that's not out of the norm and would be potentially become a very normal part of your time here. Malia, how about you?
So two actually faculty members I'm looking forward to working with is Dr. Derek and Kathy Straub in the Earth and Environmental Studies Department. Since my primary focus is environmental studies, I've taken a number of both of their courses actually, and it's really given me the opportunity to delve into environmental issues that impact not only everyone else, but specifically like my nations and my people. So I look forward to next semester and fully researching with them, because that's my capstones next semester for environmental studies, but those are the two faculty members that I really love on campus.
And then Kevin, batting cleanup for us here.
Mine's pretty easy. I actually have two professors I got really close with. One of them, his name's Dr. Oslansky, or we just call him Dr. Oz. He was my perspectives teacher when I got to college. He's helped me out. He was actually from my area, so me and him just bonded immediately. My first year after school was done, he actually invited a bunch of students over to his house. We got to meet his dogs. His dogs are super cute. Shout out Dr. Oz's dogs. Please pet him if you see him. And the other one was actually my rugby coach. His name's Dr. Niles. He does fish study here. I'm not a science major, so I don't know his exact major of study, but yeah, those two they've helped me out professionally. I have both of their phone numbers. I text them all the time. So it's just really nice just being able to just talk to a teacher like they're a normal person, not some scary someone that's going to fail you if you talk to them.
The next area I wanted to go into is activity and opportunities on campus. So Kevin, I'm actually going to stay with you since you mentioned rugby and athletics. We've had quite a few questions about balancing being an athlete on campus and taking classes. So would you mind taking a stab at that of what you've done as a rugby player on campus and how you've been able to still do well in school?
Oh yeah, well, the rugby team, we practice every day from 4 to 6. There's actually no classes between 4 to 6 exclusively for that reason. So you could always have time to go to practice, but it's mostly all about time management. It's just how you schedule your time. There's 24 hours in a day. Yeah, you have time to play rugby, you have time to go lift, work out, study. It's just, you have to make sure you get everything done. If that means staying up a little bit later, you stay up a little bit later. But all in all, I highly suggest playing a sport on campus if you want to do that.
And then how about others? Whoever wants to jump in first. What are some activities, organizations? What keeps you busy during the school year besides schoolwork and all that other normal school-related stuff? Bailey, I'll start with you, Bailey.
Yeah, sure. So as I mentioned, I'm the president of Alpha Delta Pi, which does seem like a huge time commitment, but honestly, just like Kevin said, it's all about time management. There's 24 hours in a day, and it's up to you how you're going to spend those hours. So breaking things up into groups of your day, morning, afternoon, night, what you're going to do during those times. Definitely making time for your schoolwork. The library is a great resource. Your professors are a great resource to help you manage your time. They're here to help you, not hurt you. So definitely something that I recommend is reaching out to your professors when you're not sure what to do, because they will definitely help you.
All right, Malia, how about you? What are some of the other organizations or just fun stuff, the stuff outside of class that you do on campus?
There's a number of different diversity orgs to actually, attend and learn more about different cultures. For example, the Association of Latinx Students, ALAS. I'm frequently involved with their club, also BSU, the Black Student Union, as well as ACA. There's just a number of different clubs, from a variety of your interests that you can just delve into. Like my first year, I was also a part of Poetry Slam, and that gave me the opportunity to be creative and just delve into, the art of poetry. So there's a lot of opportunities to just go into.
Carter.
So I would say, I do a lot of stuff in the theater department and also in the music department as well. And I'm, in addition to Bailey, I'm also the president of my Greek organization. So I'd say definitely time management is key, kind of prioritizing your time, using a planner. And we also have the Center for Academic Success on campus, which is a resource. So say you are kind of struggling in your classes, trying to figure out how to manage your time wisely while also wanting to be involved in a lot of different clubs and organizations on campus. That is an option for you, and they're there to help you succeed on campus while also still maintaining a normal schedule and staying involved on campus.
And Carter, I want to stay with you since now you and Bailey are both involved, have mentioned Greek life, and use this as an opportunity to maybe tell others what Greek life is like on campus, maybe dispel some of the stereotypes or myths around Greek life. So Carter, I'll have you start, and Bailey, then you can jump in, add anything, or maybe correct anything that you think Carter might have gotten a little bit wrong. Go ahead.
So at Susquehanna, Greek life is a lot more service-based, and we have a very strict anti-hazing policy, and we pride ourselves in that. So it's a lot more about the service and the brotherhoods and the sisterhoods, and less about the big school like party culture, things like that.
Bailey, anything to add there?
Yeah, Carter basically covered it all. He did say that we have a very strict anti-hazing policy, 100%. We definitely pride ourselves on that. It is a very small community, so the Panhellenic and IFC, which are the sororities and the fraternities, they're all very close. Everyone is friends with each other. It's very warm and welcoming.
And Malia, I think you're in Greek life as well. You want to talk about your organization and maybe add anything else to what Bailey and Carter have said?
Yes, so I am a member of Sigma Gamma Rho sorority, and it's fairly different than the Panhellenic or IFC. They are part of the Divine Nine organizations, which are those 9 historically black sororities and fraternities. And just being a part of, a very different sorority that prides itself on their sisterhood, scholarship, and service really gives anyone who wants to join the sorority a chance to just be a part of a different community, but also embrace scholarship as our 9 pillars, and our founders were actually educators themselves. So it's really interesting to draw the connection between education and service, and like they both said, we're very, it's a very nice community feeling that is a part of the Greek life and just SU in general.
All right, and Kevin, anything to kind of finish up this subject here on Greek life that you'd like to add?
Yeah, I'm actually the vice president of my fraternity. It's really all about the connections you make in Greek life at Susquehanna. I've met so many people that I would have never talked to before just because they're in my fraternity, and it's just, I personally love being in Greek life at Susquehanna.
Great. Thank you all. And just so everyone who's watching knows, it's about 20% of our student body overall is involved in some way in Greek life. Just so you don't think that, oh, we have four students here who are all in Greek life, everyone must be in Greek life. That's not necessarily the case. But I want to stick with some of the fun stuff we do on campus. 98% of our students do live on campus all 4 years. We have a variety of housing options. I wonder if, Bailey, maybe you can start us off here with what is there to do on campus? How do students stay busy, stay engaged, either all over campus and within their residence halls?
Yeah, of course. So every residence hall has a common area where people can hang out. Right now, of course, it's a little different due to the COVID-19 guidelines, but Susquehanna is taking that very seriously. So there still are a lot of things that students can do on campus. We do have an on-campus gym where right now you sign up for a time and you're able to go there. There are also plenty of places to hang out and eat, do your homework and stuff. Starbucks actually on campus has this cool hangout area right now, which is cool. So there's definitely lots of places where you can hang out with your friends on campus. Smith Lawn's a great area.
Kevin, how about we go with you next? Stuff you like to do, stuff to do on campus.
Yeah, stuff to do. I'm a huge advocate of just saying get out of your comfort zone. When I first got to Susquehanna, I actually tried to join American Sign Language Club, and I don't know any sign language whatsoever. I ended up playing rugby at Susquehanna. It's all about breaking out of the comfort zone, actually doing something that you wouldn't expect yourself, won't see yourself doing. You meet a ton of new people. Everybody at Susquehanna is friendly. There's not a bad guy or girl or anything here. Just get out, meet people, and you'll love Susquehanna, I promise.
All right, Malia, how about you?
So some fun things I like to do. I'm more of a get outside and enjoy the fresh air. So I love to take walks along there's this little track that goes to the campus garden where you can volunteer on your own time. As well as there's the beekeeping club. There's also the very, very large field of just solar panels. We're like one of the top universities that have, you know, solar panels, and that's very beneficial, very green, of course. But my favorite thing to do personally, I love to walk to the river, the Isle of Kew with my friends, and just enjoy the natural scenery and everything.
Carter, last up.
So I'd say our Student Activities Committee plans a lot of events to help students stay involved on campus. So the Student Activities Committee has hosted like outdoor movie nights, different comedians, magicians, things like that. In addition, we also have our on-campus entertainment venue, Tracks, and there also are events held there, so you can go and hang out with your friends. On some of the weekends, they've also had, you know, like glow-in-the-dark, like dance parties, things like that. In addition, we also have an outdoor recreation center, so you can rent bicycles, and they also, Susquehanna also just put an outdoor sand volleyball court, so that's another option if students want to get out of their rooms, especially during COVID, and just you know, play volleyball with some friends and just connect with other students on campus.
All right, now that we've talked about fun stuff to do on campus, I'd like to know what are some of the things that you all are engaged with off campus, nearby, particularly, you know, fairly nearby campus. Let's just call it maybe the central Pennsylvania area, and I'll go in reverse order this time. So Carter, why don't you start us off with some of the things that you enjoy doing off campus?
So off campus, I have definitely enjoyed going to the movie theater and the strip mall with some of my friends. In addition, there's also a bowling alley and a roller skating rink, which I've also gone with friends as well.
Great, and Malia, I know you talked about walking down to the river, and tell us how long of a walk is that from campus to the river, just to give people a physical sense?
Yeah, it's fairly short. It's about a 10-minute walk, probably 20-minute round trip. But there's also the really nice downtown area. Everyone knows the Kind Cafe. Like, if you go to SU, you know, you should go to the Kind Cafe because they have really good chai tea smoothies and smoothies in general and coffee. But yeah, there's a lot to do off campus, especially just within walking distance. And there's also the Saturday farmers market that they usually have around this time of year, and that's also very nice to just, you know, feel more part of the wider community and just, you know, walk around and look at stuff. With COVID, it does look very different, but there's definitely some things to do.
And Kevin, how about you? What are some things you enjoy doing away from campus?
Actually, last semester I had an off-campus internship through the Community Action Agency. I went and I did income taxes for the lower income individuals in the area. And just stuff like that at Susquehanna, you just get involved even off campus. One of my professors told me about what he was offering, and I was really excited to do it, and highly recommend if you're going to go into accounting to look into those type of things.
Cool, very, very awesome service that we provide to our local community. Thanks, Kevin. Bailey, how about you?
Yeah, my favorite thing to do off campus is go to Martha's Table, which is actually right in downtown Selinsgrove, walking distance from Susquehanna's campus, and it's where a church actually provides a meal the first, third, and if there's a fifth Wednesday of every month to the community. Right now it is all takeout, but a few of my friends like to go there every Wednesday that it's offered and just meet people in the community, let them know that these are the students that are at SU, and, you know, just get closer with them.
All right, we had a question here about campus jobs. So raise your hand if you have a job on campus, if you have or had one. All right, we're gonna go to Carter then first, as you raise your hand first. Tell us about your job. How easy is it? How did you go about finding a job, and how are you able to balance that job with school and all the other stuff that you've already listed that you do?
So I work as a student ambassador in the admissions office, and so I applied, I believe, like fall of my first year at Susquehanna, and it was super easy to apply, and then I went through an interview process. I got hired and then went through training my spring semester, but it's very easy to balance academics and your social life and also having a job on campus. Most places on campus are pretty flexible in terms of your school schedule and balancing all of that along with working a job.
All right, and Malia, I think you raised your hand next, so tell us about any of the jobs or all of the jobs that you've had while you're here. How'd you find them? What are you doing with them?
Yes, so just recently out of the Center for Diversity and Inclusion last year, they launched the SU Connects mentorship program, and that is a program specifically for first-year underrepresented students. So they are paired with like an upper-level student that's already here at SU who has a lot of experience, you know, within the community. We do a lot of mentorship and guidance, but not only just for academic, but also just for, you know, getting through classes, because, you know, it's a transition to get to the university and everything. But with the mentorship program, it's fairly new, and that's the one job that I've been a part of for 2 years now. But last year, actually, I was also a note taker on campus, which, you know, was also, it was a great experience, I think, just, you know, being a note taker for a class.
And Bailey, do you want to chime in with the jobs that you've had?
Yeah, I was actually a general chemistry and organismal biology teacher's assistant. And being a teacher's assistant is a really nice job because it's a student who's already taken the class before, and you basically take the class again with new students. You help them, you have office hours, you grade some of their quizzes, homeworks, things like that. And the best part about it is that it's during class time, and it's like you're just taking another class, but you're getting paid for it, so you don't have to set aside time in the morning or evening before and after classes, which is what I really liked about it.
Thank you. All right, a question that we got when students were registering for this event today was, how does your college handle differing viewpoints on campus and in the classroom? Carter, you want to start us off with just how conversations go in the classroom and how faculty and classmates alike embrace diversity and inclusion here on campus?
So I'd say our school does a pretty good job about handling different viewpoints. I think in a lot of some of my classes where we've had discussions, professors are really good at kind of keeping a middle ground and being understanding that it's a safe space for everyone to share their thoughts and opinions, even if they're different from other people's opinions. In addition, on campus, we have the Center for Diversity and Inclusion, which Aaliyah kind of touched a little bit on earlier, where there are a lot of different offices that are out of that center. So Women Speak, our Gender and Sexuality Alliance, and also our Black Student Union. But I do think the school does definitely a good job handling different topics that students may have differing opinions on.
Anybody else, any more to expand there? All right, another question that we've had come and pop up is around campus safety. So if, Bailey, maybe I'll have you start here, give you a second here to collect your thoughts around how is campus safety here at Susquehanna, maybe expanding that even into our broader Selinsgrove community.
Yeah, so on campus we do have the public safety office that consists of multiple officers that are on duty at all times of the day and night. And basically they're on call for you to call whenever you're feeling unsafe. If you feel like you would need to be walked home, they will come drive you to your destination. We also have the blue lights on campus, which are safe areas with phones or buttons that automatically alerts public safety, which is really cool. We also have education on public safety, so they're always willing to come to your clubs and organizations to let you know as an organization what their services are and how they're here to help us at all times.
Anybody else? Anything else to add? Anybody else like to say that you feel like Bailey didn't get to touch on there?
Yeah.
Malia, go ahead, Malia. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the public safety, they do a good job at responding to certain, events, or not really events, but just anything on campus, like if you're locked out or anything, like, at different hours. But I also wanted to give a shout out because there's actually a new director of public safety, Michael Dixon, who's working hard at building a stronger relationship between the diversity organizations and students on campus and public safety as a whole. So there's a lot of like reform and policies going on. Yeah.
And just to clarify something Malia said, so Michael Dixon's our new Chief Officer of Diversity and Inclusion on campus, who's been working with campus, with public safety, with students, staff, and faculty. Our office has worked with them as well around issues of inclusion and diversity on campus here. Another area where we've had some questions coming in and now and also before at registration are around Susquehanna. I'd say like the regular schedule, what a day is like. So I'd like for you to tackle that. What is a day in the life of you, and then as a part of actually we'll start there, and then I'll ask my next question. So Kevin, why don't you give us a sense of what's a day in the life for you at Susquehanna?
Day in the life, since accounting, you have to take 150 credit hours to graduate when the average credits for one major is 126. So I wake up about 8. I have between 2 to 5 classes a day. The classes usually last between an hour and a half. At 4 o'clock, I go to rugby practice. That usually takes about 2 hours. I eat dinner, and then after dinner, I usually do a couple hours worth of homework and go to bed.
All right. Bailey, how about you? What's a day like for you?
Yeah, so luckily I was fortunate enough to complete my capstone already, which is your senior research project like I spoke about. So I don't have that stress on me, which the other seniors probably do right now. But I wake up, I prefer morning classes, so I have class typically between 8 and noon. And then you have science labs from 1 to 4s when they're typically held. And then at 4, I like to relax a little bit, hang out with my friends, that kind of stuff. And then homework and bed.
All right. Malia, how about your day?
It usually starts around 8 a.m. in the morning. I have class from like 9 to 12, and there's a quick break before 2 more classes. And after that, it's usually just planning for meetings, future club events. Also, I'm a part of a number of different clubs, and with Zoom and hybrid club meetings, it's been really more easy to just go to a bunch of clubs. And usually towards the end of my day, that's where I'll usually unwind, have dinner, and then work really, really hard on papers and homework until it's time for bed, and then I start the new day.
Carter, how about you?
For me, so this semester on Mondays I have morning class, and then I usually go to admissions to give a tour, and then I have like a lunch break where I kind of just relax, get some work done, and then I have 2 more classes from like 1:45 until 4, and then I usually relax for a little bit and get dinner, and then if I'm in a theatrical production, we have rehearsals from like 6 to 9:30, and then I finish up my homework and go to bed after that.
All right, now I want to ask a fun question. Have you all think back to the time when you were really in the position of many of the students watching us, and that is when you were picking your colleges. Why is it that you chose to attend Susquehanna University? And then is there another reason, now that you've been here for a little while, that you choose to stay? So Malia, I'll start with you. Why did you choose SU, and what are some of the reasons why you continue to stay and thrive here?
Yes, so I am a first-generation college student. I found out about Susquehanna University through this college program I attended when I was in high school as a junior. And honestly, I just Googled Susquehanna University, and I'm from New Mexico, so I really had, I was just delving in here. Like my mom dropped me off at the airport, said goodbye. I was like, I'm going to Pennsylvania, don't really know anyone there, but we're gonna go on a whim. And honestly, that was like the greatest choice I've ever made, because I got to go study abroad in New Zealand earlier this year. And unfortunately, due to COVID, that was cut short, but I enjoyed the whole time there. Just being in a different country and learning about the strong and resilient indigenous people across the world really helped my education and helped me step out of being in the classroom and just applying all of that knowledge to my life and career. And I also got the opportunity to apply for this fellowship and through the Cultural Vistas, and I was also an intern last year in Hong Kong, and I was with a non-governmental organization, and I worked on climate change awareness and advocacy within Hong Kong. So honestly, SU has really just given me the choice, or not even the choice, but just the opportunity to actually apply myself to everything that I am passionate about, and it's been really great.
I studied abroad in Hong Kong too. It was awesome. I loved my time there. Kevin, how about you? Why did you choose
actually, I
SU?
have a funny story about how I found Susquehanna. I was in high school and I was playing rugby, because I've been playing rugby for a long time at this point. Then I saw all these big schools like St. Joe's, Duke, all playing. Then I also saw this little school called Susquehanna, and they were giving out T-shirts. I went over and I talked to the coach, which is now my rugby coach. He told me to apply. He told me to apply. I'll help you get in. I'll look over everything. I ended up applying here, and when I found out that you actually get to go abroad, and it's required here, I really wanted to come because I really wanted to leave the country. That was kind of one of my biggest goals in life. So I ended up studying abroad for about 4 weeks in northern England, lower Scotland, with the rugby team, and I was playing with professional teams, practicing with them, meeting people. So that's definitely a huge reason why I came here and how I found it.
Bailey, how about your story?
Yeah, so I said this when I was in high school, and I continue to say it when people ask me this question. And Kevin also touched on it, that there is not one mean person at Susquehanna. Everyone says hi to you. Everyone is so kind. And it's such a welcoming community here. The Selinsgrove community welcomes in the Susquehanna community with open arms. It's truly such a nice experience. And I also really enjoy our science program. Even though Susquehanna is not a science school, it's not known for its sciences, it's given me so many opportunities. Like I spoke about NCUR, and I am actually now, of last week, going into an accelerated BSN program thanks to Susquehanna. So 3 semesters, bachelor's to bachelor's of science in nursing, thanks to what Susquehanna has given me. So I'm very thankful.
All right, I think Carter, I don't think we got your story yet, did we?
No, so when I was looking at colleges, I was looking for colleges that had very good communications programs, and Susquehanna was one of those that had a good communications program. And it also happened to be just an hour and a half from home, so far enough from home, but also still close by if I needed to go home for any reason. But also the GO program, the study abroad requirement, also stood out to me as well when I was applying to colleges.
Now I'm going to ask you to kind of go back in time to the time when you were applying to colleges, and everyone who's watching us now, that's what the position they're in. What advice would you give to yourself, how many ever years ago that was, in the college application process that might relieve some of the anxiety that our prospective students are feeling about applying to school? Bailey, start with you. What would you tell yourself?
I would definitely tell myself to do what I want to do. Don't listen to anybody. Don't let anyone influence what your dreams and your aspirations are. Definitely take people's opinions, but overall you know yourself best and you know what you want to do. So I think that you should follow your heart. Everything happens for a reason, and you will end up where you're supposed to be, and it's definitely not worth the stress that you're putting on yourself right now.
Great. Kevin, how about you? What would you tell yourself?
100% apply sooner. I was one of the kids that waited till 11:59 the day before, so I was stressed out trying to apply to these schools. So just put in your application early. It's pretty cheap to apply almost anywhere. Just throw them out there, cast a big net, catch a lot of fish.
All right, Malia.
I would tell my younger self to just, remain calm, and things will go as planned, and also just take a leap of faith and just know that, things aren't written in stone, and you don't need to have your whole life and your major figured out. Like, as soon as you step on campus, like, you'll find that throughout your years here at university. So I would tell myself that.
All right, and Carter?
Yeah, I'd say to keep an open mind and don't let where your friends are going to college and high school, don't let that have any impact or effect on where you want to go to school. You're all on different paths and you all have different dreams and aspirations. So don't kind of let that influence where you want to go and your dreams and aspirations of where you want to see yourself in the future.
I'm going to stick with this giving advice piece and ask you to just fast forward a little bit in time, and that's when during your first semester here at Susquehanna, what would you tell your first semester self to help make that transition to college even easier than it was? What advice would you have for yourself? Carter, I'm going to start with you since you finished us up on the last one.
I would say don't be afraid to get involved, reach out and try new things because you never know when you're going to make a new friend. That could, become your best friend for the next 3 or 4 years of college.
Right. How about you, Malia? What would you tell yourself from the first semester?
I would tell myself to just reach out when you need help, whether that's in your studies or just difficulties you're going through. I don't know, just adjusting to a new college schedule. I'd say it's I got pretty overwhelmed, but I would just say reach out and develop those connections because they'll mean a lot to you. And as I've developed them now, I know I couldn't have gotten here without all of the faculty and staff and friends' help and support.
Kevin.
Probably the biggest advice I would give to myself is just remain calm. Don't stress over the little things. Go out and meet people. I was lucky enough to join a bunch of clubs as soon as I got here. That was a really smart idea. I highly recommend to do that wherever you guys end up going. Just definitely join as much things as you can. Get involved.
And
My
Bailey?
advice would definitely be to give yourself the same grace that you give others. Be patient with yourself. Nobody makes this transition super easily. It's definitely not going to be the most smooth, easiest thing that you've done, but if you're patient with yourself, you will definitely be able to do it. So just stay calm, take the leap of faith like Malia said. It's all going to work out.
Raise your hand if any of you changed your major while you're here or are doing something a little bit different than you thought you might be doing. Did any of you fall into that category where you explored a little bit? No. Bailey, kind of, sort of, maybe? Go ahead. Why don't you tell us your story about how you came to major and what it is that you're currently majoring. How did faculty help you through that process?
Yeah, so I didn't actually change my major, but I changed my future plans. Actually, I was just talking about this right before, actually a month ago, not even a month ago. I had plans to become a physician assistant since my freshman year of high school, and a month ago I woke up and realized that I wanted to be a nurse. So it's okay to change. It's not that big of a deal. Your surroundings definitely make it seem like you're failing, but you're not failing. Changing is okay. Change is totally acceptable, and you should not feel like a failure because you feel like you're going in a different path than you saw yourself, honestly, 5 years ago. So just because I'm at a different place than I was 5 years ago doesn't mean I'm a failure. It doesn't mean you're a failure. Everyone's going to end up somewhere different than where they originally thought they would.
Right, great story. Now, everyone, you all have a major, and that's a pretty significant bucket of classes you have to fill, maybe a minor as well. But we also have elective classes you get to take and central curriculum courses, which are a broad set of courses that all students have to satisfy over their 4 years. So I'd like for each of you to tell me about a class that you took that wasn't for your major that you really enjoyed taking. That maybe you even thought, I would never take this class, like why would I do this? But you absolutely love it now. Kevin, I'm gonna start with you here. I know I'm putting you on the spot. So a non-accounting class that you've taken that you've really enjoyed, why? What did you do in that class? How has it made you a better student?
I took Intro to Film, and it was so much fun. Just sat around, watched movies. I learned all about camera angles and settings and plots of different movies and what was going on during the time period. I absolutely loved the class. The professor was a blast. He was so much fun. I'm pretty sure we watched Jaws one week, and it was awesome because I've never seen Jaws, and now it's one of my favorite movies. So, yeah, definitely has to be film.
How about you, Malia? One of your favorite non-major classes that you've taken?
Wow, there's a bunch of them. So I'm having trouble looking at it, but I guess I could. So I took violence, terror, and race, and it was like a 300 level history class, and I was like, I don't know how I got in this class, but I ended up adding a history minor because I really gained a really strong connection with Dr. Maria Munoz, and she is incredible. She was like, you know, you could totally study history through like what you're passionate about with environmental history. And that was just a course that really opened my eyes and helped me think more analytically and more in depth than just, you know, regular labs and everything. So that's one of my minors, as well as political science, which is also interesting because, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great story of how taking electives and central curriculum courses often turn into a major or turn into a minor. Carter, how about you?
I would have to say my Women and Gender Studies class was probably my favorite class that I've taken outside my major. If it wasn't for my central curriculum, I probably would not have taken it, and it ended up being one of the most fun and like enlightening classes that I've taken at Susquehanna so far.
And Bailey, last one up here.
Yeah, so my favorite class that I took that wasn't for my major was writing and thinking. And it's because it was with Monica Prince. She's the bomb. If anyone ever has the chance to take a class with her, you have to do it. Her class was totally focused around inclusion and really deeper thinking, so definitely do it. And it also introduced us to her choreo poem, which is the coolest thing ever. So if no one's ever gone to that, you have to.
We're running a little short on time, so we only have time here for probably a couple more, maybe two questions here. How would you describe the campus community here at Susquehanna? You know, many students can't visit campus right now, unfortunately. We are open for campus visits for those of you who want to come and visit, but it's on a limited basis. But how would you describe it? How could you put it into words of how a student might feel here on campus? Carter, you start us off.
I would definitely say friendly and inclusive. So they're the two things that I've noticed, just from the workers in the dining room to, you know, professors to people in the Career Development Center, the Center for Academic Success, and other students as well. Just across the board, everyone is super friendly and super inclusive.
Kevin, how about you?
Yeah, it has to be friendly. I can literally walk back to my house from an academic building. I'll see 10 people that's going to wave and say hi to me. I can stop and have a 10-minute conversation basically with almost anybody on campus. Like we could met freshman year and then I could still just go up to them and just have a conversation like we've just been friends forever. So that's one thing that's really great about Susquehanna.
And Bailey, how about you?
Yeah, Carter and Kevin definitely took the words right out of my mouth. Kind, friendly, inclusive. Everyone here is so warm and welcoming. You won't walk by someone without saying hi to them. You definitely have seen their face before, you know them. It's very close to a family community.
And Malia, how do you describe your experience in life here on campus, particularly for those who can't come and experience it themselves right now?
Yeah, I'd say there's never a day where it doesn't feel, you know, it doesn't feel friendly. Like everyone's just so friendly. They really did take the words away to describe how it feels here. It's just such a small, nice community, and that's what a lot of us love about SU is that you can really, you know, just go anywhere on campus, make a connection, and just have nice conversations and just get to know anyone from across different areas. So it's really friendly.
All right, this will be our last question. I'm going to get back to some giving of advice and you going back a little bit in time and thinking what it's like to be a first-year student. And what was the biggest difference that you noticed in that transition from high school to coming into college, or coming from one college to another, if maybe there's some transfer students out there? What was one of those biggest things that you noticed that you think would have been helpful to know during that first year to get prepped for with how college works? And Malia, why don't you start us off here on this last question?
Sure. there's going to be a time where you know that you are independent and you are going to be on your own. But that journey in itself is beautiful because it just shows how you are as a student and how you've grown. Like, you can look back on your freshman year, even through photos, and just see how you've grown as a person. You know, because college is totally different. You know, the way you mold your schedule and the way you set yourself up for your goals and aspirations, it's all in front of you. It's just up to you to, you know, utilize those tools and everything that you gain here at SU, which will determine your future and everything. So.
Let's see, Bailey, how about you?
Yeah, so I think it's really important to remember that you're going through one of the most dramatic changes in your life right now. And like I said before, it's so important to be patient with yourself. No one's going to know how to do this right off the bat. It takes learning. It takes a few times not getting it right to get it right. And definitely just being patient, realizing that change is good, but you're not going to be great at it as you continue. So it's awesome, like Malia said, to be able to look back and see the change that you were going through, but it's also really important to embrace what you're going through and realize that you're making memories as you're going through. So don't just wish for them to go. Definitely embrace the memories that you're making.
Kevin, your advice.
The biggest change for me was just having a bunch more free time just throughout the day. Because I know in high school, you guys are in classes, or well, maybe not now, but you guys are usually in class for 8 hours a day in a school. It's not like that here. You can get things done during the day. You can just go hang out with your friends at like noon, and it won't be weird. But that was probably the biggest transition I had, and I would just suggest just using your time wisely.
All right, Carter, you're going to get the final word here on this.
I think at Susquehanna, like one of the biggest differences is like you will kind of figure out who you are as a person in addition to all the time you have. Like we kind of said earlier, you have 24 hours in a day, and like you choose how to spend them. So, you know, whether you want to spend it studying, hanging out with friends, being involved in different clubs and organizations on campus, that is all up to you, and you have the power to make the most of the 24 hours in the day.
All right, well, thank you all. I want to thank Kevin, Malia, Bailey, and Carter for joining us today, especially on a Sunday afternoon as they shared their schedules. I'm sure you all could tell they're very busy, have lots of stuff going on, but very appreciative of the time that they've provided. We're now going to show another short commercial video before we come back with our admission and financial aid session. So we'll be back soon.
One of my favorite classes that I've taken on campus so far as a first year actually was Perspectives. Perspectives is a class that all first years will take their first semester on campus. And I enjoyed this class because it got me acclimated to Susquehanna and it bonded a lot of students.
My two favorite classes at Susquehanna have been my Sports Promotions and Relations class and my Sports Journalism class. These classes are at 8:45 in the morning, and I am not a morning person at all, but the professor, Dr. Kashuba, really made it an engaging class, and I never struggled to get out of bed for this class.
One of my favorite classes that I've taken at Susquehanna was ear training, which is a music course, and it's basically all about oral skills, so about how to be a good listener as a musician, how to sight sing, how to take down dictations. If you hear music, can you write it down?
My favorite course that I've taken at Susquehanna is the Adulthood and Aging class with the psychology department. This is my favorite because we had the opportunity to create families, like make-believe families, and kind of examine what challenges members of the family, like of different ages, go through, and like the daily experiences, as well as we had the opportunity to be placed in a senior home or a senior center. And I got placed in the Sullins Grove Senior Center, and I had the opportunity to interact with senior citizens on a weekly basis.
My favorite class so far at Susquehanna has been Math Methods for Preschool, which is a education which is basically just like how to teach math to little kids, and it's my favorite because this was the first like methods class I've had, so it was the first one that's kind of taught me like how to be a teacher.
One of my favorite classes at Susquehanna so far is definitely my performance poetry class taught by Monica Prince. I didn't really consider myself a poet until I came to Susquehanna, and I went to my first open mic and I fell in love with performing poetry in front of people. So when I found out that there was a class focused on that, I was thrilled, because poetry has been a great impact on me and has given me so much confidence and helped me find my voice, and I wanted to strengthen that during class as well. So by performing in front of my peers and getting feedback, I am becoming a better poet because of it.
One of my favorite classes I've taken at Susquehanna so far is actually one of my literature studies classes I took last year. We had a professor that just inspired such original and creative thinking in our discussions, and we got to read some really cool books and stories, and it was just an overall really great experience, and that's coming from someone who honestly isn't too much of a reader myself.
It was called Non-Western Art, so it talked about the survey of art outside the context of, you know, what art history really entails, and when you have an introductory course. So Europe, everything that happened in Europe, and then what, you know, was left over and influenced the United States.
My favorite classes that I've had at Susquehanna is a class that's called Conditioning, and in that class you get to learn about how your body physically moves and how to move through life most efficiently with your. And then for the final we went to the top of this hill during a sunny day, and we did our final on the hill outside with some music, and I thought that was awesome.
Something that has surprised me about my time at Susquehanna is just how willing the faculty and staff is to really help you out and sit with you one-on-one to make sure you understand the material. Everyone really wants to make sure you succeed.
One thing that definitely surprised me the most about my time so far here at Susquehanna is the amount of growth that I have experienced. Coming into college, I wasn't sure what to expect as a first-generation student, but I must say that, you know, from all the opportunities that have been given to me, all the time working with my peers and faculty, professors, everything like that, it's really helped mold me into the person I am today.
Something that surprised me about Susquehanna was how close I got with my professors. I didn't really realize how great of a relationship I would make with them, but I could literally have the most completely casual conversation with them about their dog or their family, and they truly value the connections and relationships that they have with their students.
What surprised me most about my time at Susquehanna is how quickly I made friends and how close we still are today. That was something I was really nervous about, but I made amazing friends, and they are the most supportive and helpful people I've ever met, and I couldn't imagine my time here without them.
What surprised me most about my time at Susquehanna is definitely how involved I have gotten. There are so many opportunities to get involved at different clubs and organizations, Greek life, different service opportunities as well. There is an opportunity and a place for everyone to get involved on campus.
What has surprised me most about my time at Susquehanna is just the environment and who I've become through it. In high school I was really shy. I didn't have a lot of friends. I've mostly just kept to myself. And here at Susquehanna I've really been able to blossom. I've joined a lot of different clubs. I speak in class now, which is something that I would have never done. So it just really surprised me how Susquehanna has pushed me.
I never thought that I would be playing rugby. I've played lacrosse, a majority of my life. I thought if anything I would play lacrosse at college, and I just turned out to get a lot of friends in my first year hallway who were on the rugby team. They told me to come out for it, and it's been one of the best decisions I've ever made.
As a first year, I haven't been on campus very long, but what has surprised me the most about my time at Susquehanna is how willing to help the faculty, professors, and staff are, and how caring everyone is. Unfortunately, during my first semester, I had to deal with a very serious family medical emergency at home, and because of this, I had to miss school days and I lacked time for work. But fortunately, my professors worked with me to figure out a plan to finish all my work and they were so caring and checked in on me.
When I was in high school, I was always afraid to call and like order food over the phone. I don't know why, this is something I was really scared to do, but obviously I'm a tour guide now, I'm a student ambassador, I love talking to people. They really pushed me out of my comfort zone, but in like the best way possible. I got really involved at Susquehanna, and that's not something I thought I would do. So no one even forced me to do it. It was just like the atmosphere. It's like you're around so many people that are leaders themselves. It's kind of just like, it's what you become, it's what you do.
What surprised me the most about my time at Susquehanna is the unique network opportunities that I have been able to get, because through going to Breakthrough for the past 2 years, I've been able to develop relationships with alumni and other professionals outside the university.
When I first came to Susquehanna, I had no interest in joining Greek life, but it is completely different than what you see in the movies or with the stereotypes. Susquehanna's Greek life is really focused on leadership, scholarship, service, and really bettering each other and the world around us. I can completely say I'm not the same person I was 4 years ago, and I owe a lot of that to Kappa Delta and the other fraternity and sorority organizations on campus. We really all support each other and want to help with our philanthropies and kind of improving each other as a whole.
All right, our final session of the afternoon is going to be our admission and financial aid presentations. They'll be led by my colleagues Ruben Council and Brent Wallish. So I'm going to kick it over to them.
Hello everyone. Thank you so much for being here this afternoon. My name is Ruben Council, and I'm a Senior Associate Director of Admission here at Susquehanna University. We're going to spend some time together talking about the application process and how we get that accomplished here at Susquehanna. And we'll start out very specifically with how to apply to our university. So first and foremost, we'll need to receive your application. You may use the Common Application or the Susquehanna University Success Application. We accept either of them, and we accept them with equal consideration. So my best advice is that if you're planning to apply to several colleges that all accept the Common Application, you should fill that one out and file it with us as well, because it'll ultimately save you a little bit of time in the process. However, if you're looking at a selection of colleges that all seem to have their own specific application process, you may want to consider our Success Application, as it's a little bit more streamlined in comparison. So once we have your application on file, there'll be several other pieces of the puzzle that we'll need in order to complete your materials and get you ready for review. So first and probably most importantly is your high school transcript. So you'll work with your guidance counselor to get that either uploaded to your Common Application or sent directly to our institution. And just know that when we're reviewing these applications, we want to make sure that you've taken as rigorous a schedule as possible in high school. We want you to have challenged yourself. And just know that when we receive that transcript, we do recalculate our GPAs so that we can review everyone on a similar 4.0 grading scale. However, we do also accept weight for advanced coursework. And just so you can be aware, our middle 50% of GPAs are 3.3 to 3.95, and our average is about 3.6. So that'll be the first component. The next component is related to test scores. So we do accept SAT and ACT scores. If you were able to take those prior to our COVID circumstances, then just know that our middle 50% on SAT is about a 1080 to a 1230, with our average score being about 1150. And for ACT, our middle 50% is approximately 23 to 28 for those scores, with an average score of 26. However, we also know that many of you have not been able to take advantage of these tests yet because they've been canceled over the past several months due to COVID in the United States. So just know that Susquehanna University has been test score optional for a very, very long time. So we are well prepared to do your application review without test scores. So if you've not been able to take one of those tests, then please just consider applying as a test score optional candidate. It will in no way impact your ability to be properly reviewed as far as the admission components, and everyone is still going to qualify for full financial aid as well under those circumstances. The next component of your application would be your essay. So this is the one place in your application where you get to have a little bit of your own voice. So we do recommend that you take some good time with this essay and let it be something that's going to give your admission counselor a little bit more of a view into who you are as a person. Take the time to get it proofread by several folks that you trust, because we do read every word of these and we certainly appreciate it when they're as well prepared as possible. So next, we will move to letters of recommendation. And at Susquehanna, we only require that you provide us with one letter of recommendation. However, we are willing to accept as many as you would like to present to us as you paint the picture of yourself as an applicant. This one letter of recommendation should be from one of your school counselors or one of your teachers, someone who has good depth of knowledge of what you bring to the table as an academic. And then, as I mentioned, you can collect others from other folks as well, if you feel that that presents a broader picture of you as an applicant. Now, regardless of which application you use, there will be lots of space for you to also tell us a little bit about yourself and your extracurricular accomplishments. So we are certainly interested to know what types of clubs and organizations you've been part of. Are you an athlete? Are you a musician? Are you an artist? Are you someone who's very passionate about community service? And also, we are interested to know what types of leadership roles you have held in these different organizations as well. That will be an important component of the review process as we move forward. Now, at Susquehanna, we do offer interviews. Interviews are not required, but they are certainly encouraged. So if you're someone who has been to campus for a visit, perhaps you've had a general information session, perhaps you've had a chance to meet with faculty at a virtual event over this summer, and you're interested in getting to know more specifically what Susquehanna might have to offer someone like you, an interview is a great place for that to happen. It allows us as admission counselors to get to know you on a very personal level, and it also lets us put you in contact with that information that might be most directly useful as you continue forward in your college search. And also at the time of application, we are going to locate people who would potentially be invited to our honors program at Susquehanna University as well. So for the honors program, we typically target the top 10% of our application pool. So this is by GPA and by test score, and this process happens a little bit later in the fall and early in the spring. We issue invitation letters to those folks that are meeting the qualifications for the honors program. And just know that if you're not one of the people that's automatically considered for honors, but you still feel that you would be a great fit with that program, you're welcome to reach out to us, and we'll have a faculty panel review your materials to see if you might be a great fit for the honors program as well. So that takes us through a lot of the specifics as regards the individual application. But let me also tell you a little bit about application types and application deadlines that we have at Susquehanna. So you'll have to make a decision as to whether you're going to apply early decision, early action, or regular decision. Those are the three different programs that you can apply through. So the first is early decision. And I like to tell a little story regarding early decision because to me, early decision is kind of like a marriage proposal. So if you go out there and you ask someone to marry you and they say yes, then you're pretty much getting married. And with early decision, the understanding is that if you apply early decision, then we will do an early review on your materials. And if we decide to admit you at that point, that means that you'll be withdrawing your other applications to your other schools, and you'll send an enrollment deposit to us before January 15th. So, as I was saying, it's like a marriage proposal because just like with a marriage proposal, if you go out and you ask several people to marry you, when they all find out, they're all going to dump you. And same is true here. If you do early decision and then decide ultimately that you may be going somewhere else, there may be ramifications for that down the road. So, early decision is a plan that is for somebody who is absolutely certain that Susquehanna is the one place that they would far and away rather be than any other college or university. And if you apply to us early decision, then just know that you're going to get some preferential treatment in the review process as well. So, our next decision plan is early action. The vast majority of our applicants are going to use early action to apply to Susquehanna. And my best advice is that if a school offers early action, you should take advantage of it, because those advantages are all yours. We have an early action 1 deadline on November 1st. We have an early action 2 deadline on December 1st. With an early action application, when your materials are complete, we will begin your review process. And what that means is that when your application is fully complete, within typically 3 weeks, you'll receive notification from us as a university. Now, that notification, let's assume a positive outcome for the purposes of this conversation, because that's certainly more fun. And so if you are complete and you're someone that we feel like is a great fit for Susquehanna University, then you're going to get that large envelope. It's going to have your admission letter in it. It's going to say, "Congratulations, future Riverhawk. We would love to have you join us next fall on campus." And at that point, we'll also be able to tell you what you qualify for in merit-based awards. We'll talk a little bit more about that in just a minute. Now, at Susquehanna, we also offer regular decision. And my best advice is that you probably shouldn't wait that long, because if we've got a strong early decision and early action pool, we may decide to get a little pickier with our regular decision folks. However, if you are someone who is still waiting to apply to college or university after December 1st, we do have that regular decision plan available for you to take advantage of. Now, I mentioned scholarships, and let's talk a little bit more directly about what that entails. Everyone that applies to Susquehanna University is automatically under consideration for academic merit scholarships. There's no additional forms to fill out. There's no additional piece of the puzzle that you need to do other than just your regular application. And just to give you an idea, these awards are based on what you bring to the table as a student. So how strong is your GPA? How strong are your test scores? If you haven't been able to take a test, then we have other mechanisms that we can employ to figure out what this merit-based award will be. And these awards will be up to $38,000 per year towards your cost of attendance at Susquehanna. So these are a significant piece of affordability that we are able to take right off the top based on your hard work in high school. So that's part 1. Part 2 we'll talk about a little bit later in this presentation, but just know that there are also additional scholarships available for certain areas of campus. So before we talk about the scholarships, just know that if you are someone in our creative arts, for instance, music, creative writing, or our graphic design or studio art or photography majors, then there will also be a portfolio requirement as part of your application process. And then if you're specifically a music major or a creative writer, just know that there are additional scholarships available based on the strength of what you bring to the table, either as a musician or as a writer. And those folks are identified through the music audition process and through the creative writing portfolio review process. We also have another separate scholarship available for folks that have a strong interest in leadership and community service. So our Susquehanna University Service Leaders Program is a significant scholarship available to our students. It's available to you by a separate application. And don't worry, we'll be reaching out to you with information about that as the Susquehanna University Service Leaders. So if you're successful in that application process, then you will earn additional dollars towards your cost of attendance, and then you will also be paired with a local organization in our community. You'll have about a 10-hour per week commitment to work with that organization over your 4 years while you're at Susquehanna. And each year that you come back, you'll have a new significant layer of commitment within that organization. So we've got lots of different ways to help fund your education at Susquehanna. We've had a good review as far as how you actually apply and get into our institution. And now it's my pleasure to turn things over to my colleague Brent Wallish, who is going to talk to you in great deal about what I consider the next steps in your application for financial aid at Susquehanna University. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ruben. I'm Brent Wallish, Assistant Director of Student Financial Services here at Susquehanna University. I'm going to talk a little bit today about both our office and the application process and what it means to apply for financial aid here at Susquehanna. The Student Financial Services Office really encompasses two primary functions here at SU. The first function is that we handle a lot of the billing and payments at Susquehanna University, or similar to another institutions called a bursar's office. We also administer all of the applications and the federal funding through financial aid, as well as scholarships and other kinds of awards. And that's through what would normally be called the financial aid office. So here at Susquehanna, it's Student Financial Services. So the first question really could be, what is financial aid? And it's a really broad term that may have a lot of different definitions. But we like to think of it, financial aid, as anything used to pay for a college education. Most commonly, this would be referred to, this is thought of as need-based gift aid. And what that means is gift aid refers to financial aid that is paid on your behalf to help cover your college investment that does not need to be paid back. Specifically, this would be things known as like grants or other gift aid. So most commonly, this would be the federal Pell Grant across the country. This is a federal one from the U.S. Department of Education that you do have to apply for and meet eligibility criteria. And we'll get into that here in just a minute. If you're a Pennsylvania resident, you may also qualify for a Pennsylvania state grant that would be administered through FIA, or the Pennsylvania Higher Education Assistance Agency. Both of these require a financial aid application and a FAFSA to apply, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. We also here at Susquehanna, on top of our merit-based scholarships that Ruben mentioned, also have some need-based grant funding that can be applied to your account as well after applying for financial aid. So from these different sources, or these are three of the largest sources where you may receive need-based gift aid after you apply for financial aid at Susquehanna. Another form would come in merit-based gift aid. So as opposed to applying for financial aid to be eligible for it, you would apply for the scholarship itself or admission to Susquehanna. This would fall into the category of the merit-based scholarships that Ruben had mentioned at the time of admission, but also this could come from scholarships from outside sources that you apply for. Things such as from your high school or local community organizations that you may be a part of. I always recommend students during their application search to set up an account at one of the online search engines and do some scholarship searches right now. We'll have information available for you on that on our website as well coming up. But these are all great opportunities to help fund your education that you don't need to pay back. So that's gift aid. That's the money that is automatically applied that is not your responsibility to pay for. Now on to self-help aid. Self-help aid is a different kind of financial aid that students may qualify for or utilize to help fund their education. And it's called self-help aid because it's on the student to pay these monies, whether it's up front or in time. The first we're going to talk about is federal work study. Federal work study is a form of financial aid that is federally funded that students may be eligible for from applying for financial aid. And it is money that actually funds employment while they are enrolled in school. At Susquehanna, these funds are paid directly to the student like a part-time job every other week. So if a student would have a job on campus, these work study funds would be paid to them like any other part-time job. Some students can use that funding to pay their account or pay for things like tuition or direct charges. However, most students use it for out-of-pocket expenses or save it up for other semester expenses like books or potentially transportation expenses and things like that. But federal work study is mostly part-time employment. And don't worry, if you don't qualify for federal work study in a financial aid application, there are also campus employment opportunities for students who don't qualify as well. Now, on top of work study, the other biggest form of self-help aid that students may utilize would come in the form of loans. Loans are monies paid on your behalf that you agree to pay back in time, most of the time and most commonly with interest. These come from a variety of sources, and I'm not going to be able to list them all right now, but I can tell you that some of the big ones would be the federal government. So there are federal direct student loans that students would be eligible for if they apply for financial aid and file a FAFSA. We're going to get to that in just a second. But these are monies that there is no additional credit application or background check or anything like that with federal direct student loans. If a student files their FAFSA, they would be eligible for some of these funds that they would pay back after they graduate. Another source of funding in terms of student loans and education loans would be from private or third-party lenders. Now, these would be monies coming from things like a bank, a credit union, or some other financial institution that loans money to a student or on a student's behalf to help cover their educational expenses. They can also loan these monies to parents as well for their student to attend. I will say that most students, if they are to utilize a private or third-party student loan, are going to need a credit-worthy cosigner before they can accept these loans. Also, federally, there is an opportunity for parents to borrow as well, and this would be through a Parent Plus loan. This loan would be in a parent's name for their student's application, or excuse me, for their student's expenses, and this, again, could be paid back after graduation or while the student is enrolled. But it is an opportunity for parents to borrow for their dependent student educational expenses. Now, some other sources of funding to help cover an education that maybe aren't exactly financial aid through the normal means or through a FAFSA application would be some other ways to help cover the costs of education. So first of all, we always like to let students know that through our office, since we handle the billing and payments, we do have payment plan options available. Rather than one-time payments, many families find it advantageous to take advantage of spreading payments out over the course of a semester for that semester's charges. Whether it be 3, 4, 5, or 6-month payments, you can take advantage of a payment plan as opposed to one large payment. You would set that up later on prior to the semester beginning, but this is a nice option for many families. If you have any kind of college savings account or educational savings plan, these are wonderful opportunities to help cover some costs and save up over time. It's a little early yet, but once a family and a student know where they're going to be going to school, it's a good idea to give a call to the financial institution through which they've opened these accounts and just see what all kinds of requirements there will be, because every account may have some different requirements as to what they'll need before they'll make a payment on a student's behalf. And if you are unaware of what they're going to need, you can always call our office, but I would call their number first just to make sure. Also, if any students are veterans of the armed forces or are the dependents of a veteran, they may qualify for veterans education benefits. You need to make sure you speak with either an education officer, your parent, or go online to the VA website to find out what benefits you may be eligible for. Once you submit to us a certificate of eligibility, we'll be able to give you a better estimate of what kind of education benefits you could expect here at Susquehanna. But for anyone who is curious, we are also a Yellow Ribbon school, meaning we're a part of the Yellow Ribbon program. Finally, it's always a good idea to check with either your employer or a parent's employer to see if there may be any education benefits available as a benefit of employment. Many employers out there do offer some kind of either tuition assistance or scholarship opportunities, so always check with an employer to see if there may be any kind of opportunity available for either you or your student. Now, through all of these, many of these forms of financial aid will require financial aid application, and we accept the free application for federal student aid, or the FAFSA. I have a quick video to show you that's going to go over some real basics of it and to give you a good idea about what that process is like, and then I'll be back to talk to you a little more in just a minute.
If you're interested in financial aid for college or career school, you're going to need to fill out the free application for Federal Student Aid, or FAFSA. It takes most people about 30 minutes to complete online, and the best part, it's 100% free, and it provides you with access to grants, loans, and work-study funds from the federal government. And many colleges and states use FAFSA information to provide their own college or state financial aid. Before you fill out the FAFSA, it's a good idea to create your FSA ID, a username and password that lets you electronically sign your FAFSA and gives you access to various websites related to federal student aid. And here's an important tip. If your parent is providing information on your FAFSA, he or she will need his or her own FSA ID. Visit studentaid.gov/FSAID for more information. Your FAFSA can be completed online at fafsa.gov, and help is provided throughout the online application process. You will need to fill out the FAFSA each year you are in school because your financial situation may change. Plus, you may be able to automatically transfer your tax data from the IRS, making the application even quicker to fill out. Each state and college or career school sets its own deadline for the FAFSA, so it's best to get it done early. Since some of the funds are available on a first-come, first-served basis, you don't want to miss out. Now that you know about the FAFSA, you might be asking, well, how much money will I get? Your college or career school will do the math, and there's a simple formula that they use. First, the college takes your cost of attendance, which is the total amount it will cost you to go to that school. Your cost of attendance will vary from school to school. Then, the college subtracts your expected family contribution, or EFC. Your EFC is based on information provided in your FAFSA and will not change based on the school you attend. However, the EFC is not necessarily the amount of money you will have to pay. Basically, your cost of attendance minus your EFC equals your financial need. Your college uses your financial need and other information to determine how much financial aid you can receive. See? Pretty simple. If you have questions or need more information, please visit studentaid.gov.
So that's just a little bit about how to apply for financial aid and what all goes into the financial aid application, as well as going over very quickly cost of attendance, expected family contribution, and things like demonstrated financial need. There are many more videos online at studentaid.gov, similar to that one, that make applying for financial aid and different forms of financial aid pretty easy to understand. I do recommend giving those a look. So in order to file your FAFSA, the first thing that came up in that video was you're going to need a federal student aid or FSA ID and password. Both you and, if you're a dependent student, a parent, will need to have FSA IDs and passwords to file their FAFSA. Make sure you write down and save the information regarding your FSA ID and password. You're going to need it every year. You'll need it this year again if you're going to log in and accept any federal student loans. And you'll need it in subsequent years, not only to apply for financial aid, but potentially to look up important information about student loans or other forms of financial aid that you may receive. So make sure you save that information, as it will come in handy later on. So in terms of applying for financial aid, you can submit your FAFSA at any time. October 1st is when it opens every single year, and it'll be open throughout the remainder of the application process for your admission and enrollment at Susquehanna and many other institutions. It's going to be based off of 2019 tax data for the 2021-2022 school year. I know I'm throwing a lot of years at you, but it uses prior year data. And one of the nice things about that is most families will have their taxes available and ready for them from 2 years prior when the time comes to file this. And many families can take advantage of what's known as the IRS data retrieval tool. In that video, it mentioned the data retrieval tool, where it can take your income information directly from the IRS and import it right into your FAFSA. It helps verify accuracy of information, and it can make your process a lot faster. Before you start filing your FAFSA, though, you should know where to find your income tax data from 2019 just to have it on hand, as not everybody can utilize the data retrieval tool. You will need to file your FAFSA every single year to continue being eligible for financial aid, and we have a lot of this information and more online via our college affordability checklist, so make sure you check that out for more details. So once you file your FAFSA and you get all of your information in, it's going to generate what's known as the Susquehanna University Award Letter, or what many people like to call a financial aid package. We send these to students once we have all of their information available, and it really outlines a lot of great information for them to have prior to making their college decision. So it will outline many different things. Your direct costs, which would be things that are billed directly to you for a year's education at Susquehanna. These would be things like tuition, fees, your room, or meal plan charges will all be included in the direct costs. We'll also outline all of the financial aid for which you're eligible to receive. We will include both your merit-based scholarship from Susquehanna, as well as any other additional scholarships that we know about that you're eligible for. We'll include that need-based funding from the results of your FAFSA if you qualify for a FIA grant or a Pell grant. or even an additional Susquehanna University grant, we will include all of those. We're also going to include your federal direct loan eligibilities or federal work study. All of those items that we mentioned prior that you may be eligible for from filing your FAFSA and filing a financial aid application will be included in this award letter. And we're also going to talk about net cost. The net cost would be all of the direct charges, so the things that you would be billed for, as I said before. It will also list all of the forms of financial aid that will be applied to your direct costs. That would be things like your scholarships, grants, and loans, not work study, as we mentioned before. And it will come up with your estimated net cost, which is essentially your out-of-pocket expense for 1 year's enrollment at Susquehanna. So how do you get one? I'm glad you asked. It's very easy. It's a two-step process. First, you need to apply to Susquehanna University and receive your admission letter. That way we know that you've been admitted to the institution. You will have your scholarship information, and then we would get that information, and if we have a completed FAFSA, we would evaluate you for a financial aid package or a Susquehanna award letter. We have to have a complete and valid FAFSA, and it has to be sent to Susquehanna. I've included our code there on the screen for you if you're filing your FAFSA today, but it's 003369. So once we have all of that information together, we would send this to you and send you a notification that it is ready to be read so that you have a great idea of what aid you'd be eligible to receive and what your cost may be for a year at Susquehanna. So in terms of timeline, you can expect to receive these beginning in mid-November. If you're one of those students who receives an early admission to Susquehanna and you filed your FAFSA right as it was available on October 1st or soon thereafter, you'll be in one of the first rounds of students to receive their financial aid award letters sometime in mid-November. But we'll continue sending them throughout the application season and throughout the remainder of the academic year. But we do have to have completed and valid information for both an admission application and a FAFSA prior to receiving an award letter. We cannot do estimates based off of incomplete information. If our office reaches out and says we might need you to complete one or two more things prior to you getting a financial aid award letter, we please ask that you would do that so that we can get you the most information as soon as possible. But we often get a lot of questions this time of year and throughout the remainder of the year, and we are more than happy to work with you and answer those questions for you. Many questions tend to be personal or financial in nature when it comes to student financial services or covering the cost of an investment in education, and we totally understand that. So please contact our office. You can email us. You can look us up online. Many questions can be answered on our website, and we're more than happy to talk you through it or set up an appointment or a phone call to talk this through with you. I also included two links that are really important for students to look at right now. The first would be studentaid.gov. This would be the website from which you can get your FSA ID, file your FAFSA, learn more about student loans, Pell Grants, and all sorts of financial aid information. I highly recommend studentaid.gov. And for you Pennsylvania residents, make sure you log on to FIA's website at some point as well so you can be familiar with their grants and other aid programs through FIA in the state of Pennsylvania as well. So thank you very much for your time today. I really appreciate it and your interest in Susquehanna. I hope to see you on campus before long.
Thank you very much, Ruben and Brent. We've reached the end of our Build Your Bright Future program. We appreciate you tuning in. Yeah, you are all welcome to reach out to the faculty from the panel today, and the admission team is also available to answer any other questions that you might have that were not answered this afternoon. The admission office is also currently open for campus visits, but in a limited capacity. We are able to host 4 students and 2 guests each in the morning and 4 in the afternoon. If you would like to visit, I highly recommend you schedule one now, as many of the slots are already full this semester. Lastly, we have begun reading applications and are releasing decisions right now. We would love to have the opportunity to read yours. We hope to see you again soon. Have a great evening. Thank you very much.